Bella, I hope you've gotten enough sleep these last 18 years, because you won't be getting any more for a while.
Well, I'm not Bella, but I do know what it's like to lack sleep.
Welcome everyone to the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, where we're continuing our journey through the Twilight Saga. We are currently on Breaking Dawn Part 1. With me today we have,
Hello, everyone. I'm a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks, and with us today we have a very special guest, Daisy, first time on the pod. Daisy, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Sweet. And hey, you look up Cheap Seat Critics podcast on the interwebs. You'll find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, maybe. Who knows? We got YouTube and Rumble for a visual side of things if you prefer that. I know, audio podcast. As well as a letterbox in case you're interested in the averaged out graphs we have.
Perfect. I guess with that we'll just jump into our histories, starting with writer.
Well, this one's an interesting one. I think this is probably the one I remember the most. I had a very interesting theater experience, and then I've seen people react to the movie because there's reactors and stuff that I like to watch on YouTube just to gauge what other people think. So that's where I get a lot of my additional quote unquote rewatches of this particular film.
But you haven't done that with the other films?
No.
Interesting. This one just grabs you there.
Well, it was more of the algorithm that also happened to lead me there, and I'll be really honest. It was because I was a fan of a particular VTuber.
Oh, okay.
Shocking.
Shocking. Sprinks, you're up.
Oh, sweet. Hey, I have not read this book. I know sometimes I forget to say that in their previous Twilight coverages. And this was my first time watching this movie.
Ayo, finally a first. Daisy, what about you? Your history?
Sprinks, I'm really surprised that this was your first time watching it, considering I've watched it countless times at the house. But I was 11 when this movie came out, and I watched it in theaters with my stepmom, and you can connect the dots with the scenes in the movie. It was a little uncomfortable.
Oh,
I could imagine.
that sounds weird.
Oh, it's Sprinks.
That's me. Well, yeah. I just didn't know that.
I guess my history, it's pretty much identical to the other movies where I've seen it twice for the podcast. And I guess before watching it the first time, I did know that there was imprinting on a baby and a wedding. That is, and this was the slow one apparently. That's about it. Very simple.
I should ask, Daisy, have you read any of the books?
I've read the first one, but I haven't read any of the other ones.
Okay.
That good, huh?
I'm not much of a reader, so
There you go. All right, we'll jump into facts. Uh, the budget, which there are two listed, but mostly from what I could find, the best estimate is 110 million USD, with a box office of 712.2 million. So very good.
Ranking it in?
Trying to remember the previous. I think the previous movie did 700 mil, right? And then the one before that did 500. I don't know. They're doing well.
It was getting a following, a
It
cultural
was.
phenomenon to rival that of Harry Potter.
Yeah, Eclipse was the budget of 68 million USD with a box office of 698.4 million.
Pretty darn close to the 700 mil there. Interesting facts to continue. Robert Pattinson took boat driving lessons for the honeymoon. That very brief segment, and he managed to crash the boat both in the lessons and during the filming in Brazil. So bad luck.
Excellent job.
Who knows?
Good driver.
Not enough time practicing.
That's Batman? Don't believe it.
That's true. Batman would do that. There were over 1,400 special effects used for the film, most of which being used on Kristen Stewart for the pregnancy and the whole skeletal face stuff going on
The
there.
decay. Yeah.
Gonna be honest, looked good. I thought it
We're
was
not even
really
into the coverage yet, Sprinks. Oh,
well. You brought it up. I'm just saying it looks good.
I agree. It does look good. Cut you off. Did you have more to say on it?
I thought some of it was makeup, so I don't know how much was makeup versus practical effects or virtual effects.
Uh, the sex scene between Edward and Bella was originally graphic enough, in air quotes, to have an R rating, and they had to reshoot it. And it was graphic, too graphic because of how exaggerated Kristen Stewart's thrusting was during the scene. So,
Jesus.
yeah,
That's funny.
not because of anything too explicit, but just her motions was too much to give it an R. So, I had to refilm it.
Jeez.
Hey, Bella really wanted it.
Yeah,
She
I mean,
kept insisting.
she's been begging for it for 3 movies up to this
They
point.
broke the bet. Of course you wanted it.
And I think that's enough fun facts. We only have so much time for some people here today, so we'll jump into the coverage. We'll go with popcorn so people can get the most out of it. Starting with Sprinks.
Oh, I'm so glad for you to start with me. Hey, I'll start on. Did you guys notice the opening title sequence was only 10 seconds long? Isn't that lovely? Man, that's
I
so
mean, to
good.
some,
It's 10 seconds. What a good time. Lovely timed. For those who have not heard our coverage of New Moon, that had a 40-second opening. Too long.
a good-looking intro. All of them have been pretty
They're all
good.
good looking. It's just the time for them. So,
I have
also,
a question about the opening. What was the opening scene for you theatrical version watchers?
it was very red, like red clouds of Summit Entertainment Productions, and then it just went to Breaking Dawn with the sun shining through.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So we had a different opening scene then. I think Daisy.
Oh, I guess we can say that
Did we?
Ryder and Daisy saw the extended, Crimson and I saw theatrical.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, what was your first scene then?
Oh, the first scene after the title?
Yeah.
Jacob taking his shirt off in the rain, less than a minute into the movie.
Yeah.
What?
Wasn't
So
happy about the wedding invitation.
yeah. So in the extended version, at least the version of the extended that I watched, our opening scene was the Volturi getting a wedding invitation.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. The Volturi get a wedding invitation before we go to credits.
Yeah.
Wait. Is it the one where the secretary misspells the name?
Nope.
No.
There's
Oh.
two Volturi scenes, one at the beginning and one at the end.
Okay,
It's a bookend.
the end one I saw and is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I'm talking
beginning
about the
one,
opening credits. We have
ah,
it. We have a Volturi scene before the opening credits of the film.
not in theatrical.
Yeah.
Weird.
Uh. Yeah. So what happens in that scene is the Volturi get a wedding invitation and they drop their first hint that they're displeased that you know Bella's being converted into a Cullen, essentially. And funny enough, they also kill the secretary in that scene. But they kill the secretary from the previous movie, so they wrap up that continuity.
Oh.
Oh, she got hired back for this movie for that one deleted segment, huh?
Yeah. Um, and the reason they emphasize the pettiness because they kill that secretary for interrupting their feeding. So when the secretary comes in, like half the room is covered in bodies because they're busy eating.
Very different.
Yeah, very different opening scene. And then we credits roll, and then it opens up to Jacob taking his shirt off, which is, I think, record time for seeing a shirtless man.
Oh yeah. Record time of seeing Jacob.
Uh, Daisy, you got a point to jump to anywhere
Ooh.
in the film.
All
Any
right.
second.
Well, since I'm the only female, I'm sure you guys all know what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the wedding. and
Oh
how
yeah.
beautiful Bella looked. And I loved how, like, Alice made the comment that weddings bring everyone together, and how Rosalie and Alice and Bella's their bond all together as sisters really, like, was shown through the movie. And, like, how, like, they all got ready together, and then, you got, like, the family heirloom with, like, the beautiful hair pendant thing from, like, the grandparent that's passed down. And then Bella's dress, I thought fit her perfectly, for, like, who she is as the character. Because when they talk about the nightmare scene, she's wearing, like, a princess ball gown, which just doesn't really scream Bella Swan, but the long, elegant, lace-backed, long sleeve, high neckline, very, like, elegant and sleek, I think it's perfect for her.
Yes, as a dress expert and someone who's has seen Yes to the Dress, I think it does fit her very well. Yeah.
Oh my god, you're mocking me, Crimson.
No, I'm not. It was astute observations by you. I didn't even notice the gown was different.
Well,
Or the dream
how many
sequence.
dresses do you think she tried on? 26, 27, 27 dresses?
Oh my
27
god.
dresses. Yeah.
Wrong movie.
Shoot.
Yeah, there was
I
no
do,
Benny and
I
the Jets
do,
in this one.
yeah, I do like the I guess the change because the in the flash or in the dream sequence of her nightmare, it's a lot more of a gaudy appearance, which doesn't suit Bella because Bella is very much a subdued character, and Alice does always continuously poke fun at her over the saga about her like not being interested in trying to be pretty or fashion. Um, so I do quite also enjoy the fact that it's a little more of a subdued dress. And then I agree with your uh, sentiment with Rosalie and Alice having, even if they aren't, even if Rosalie isn't close with Bella, I like the fact that they're all helping each other and bonding.
Right.
And we continue with Jessica making the comment of her being pregnant, I guess foreshadowing to some degree. It was a comment they made in one of the previous movies as well. Actually, I think it was the last one. Bella was joking about it in the fields.
Well, Charlie also
So
kind of hinted at it.
keeping that.
You know, got to be
Well, that
careful
one
or
was up
get
to
married.
interpretation. But yeah, he was worried about that with all of the wedding talk she was asking about. But
Oh,
God, Charlie, such a tragic character.
oh,
Every movie, he just keeps getting beat down.
look, I am upset that the ending of Eclipse was the big thing of like dangerous thing. Got to tell
Yep,
Charlie. Got to inform Charlie. And how does
skip
Charlie
it.
know? He just gets an invitation. They don't have a talk with him.
Well, we don't know that.
They don't show a talk with him. A lot of these movies, they don't show talks with Charlie that should be there.
Absolutely correct. Because then their relationship wouldn't be believable. They would have to write Bella and him having a good conversation about how awful Bella is, and they can't do that. Mm-mm. They gotta keep Charlie pure with Bella.
Yeah, by just accepting. You're grounded. That's it. Just one line.
And I'll give you a note on the grounding as well. Hang out with Jacob.
Oh yeah, Drago. That's good. But we've already covered that.
He did. One back. Let's see, Ryder.
Sure. I'm gonna complain about the obvious. The wedding is happening in broad daylight.
What?
Oh,
There's trees. There's shade.
and leaves.
Ryder, we
Uh,
know as this goes, broad daylight does not mean direct sunlight. Two different things in this world.
it's still annoying. They established a rule and they don't stick to it.
Is there only one instance in this whole film that we actually see shiny vampire skin?
Is it in the meadow too? Maybe.
I thought it was just on before they jump into the stream on the island. Like Edward's shoulder
Oh
is
yeah, yeah,
shiny.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's
There
the
might
only
be.
instance that I could think of.
And that was right after I think the most egregious use of them in sunlight, and that's them playing chess outside in the sun on the
Oh yeah,
beach,
and he's
or on the beach, air quotes. But very
I
exposed, no shade at all, very clearly direct
I
sunlight.
I have I think one of my it's very close to the scene where as well they're doing Bella's hair and everything. When Bella's parents come up to visit her to give her the hairpin, when they're standing in the hallway and they make a joke about the graduation caps, that one I think landed for me.
Oh, I like that because it made Charlie look sane.
I know, it was like, that's just weird. And I like how the mom just thought that it was an art piece. I'm assuming she thought it was abstract art, but
Well, I think most people would read it that way.
yeah, I guess that my first thought too wouldn't be to assume that they're an immortal vampire. This is a family of
Yeah.
immortal vampires.
Who
Not to be
keep going
pushed
to
to
school
that
for
point.
some reason instead of just living their lives passing as adults.
I
Now,
feel like maybe it's also like passed down generation of like the graduating members of the entire family. Like that's how maybe the mom viewed it as like an art piece of like the grandparents' graduation cap to the parents to the children, like that, you know?
Yeah, like all the different generations of Cullens going through graduation. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
another way to read it for sure. I just still like the joke of it because it's a meta to the audience, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. It's hilarious.
now, Daisy, I have a question for you to jump to. What
Okay.
is your, being that you've seen these movies multiple times, what is your interpretation of the eye color of vampires?
Um, I mean, I know that there's like a theory out there that if the vampires drink human blood and like feed on human blood, their eyes are red, hence like the Volturi. And that's also like the evil vampires or whatever. But then if they drink like animal blood or like feed on like animals or I don't know, eat the other things that they eat, then they have different colored eyes, but it's also confusing because Edward's eyes change color, but then when well, I guess I can't say this next part because it's a spoiler for the well, no, I can. I'll say it anyways. When Bella, she, obviously turns into a vampire, that's the end of this movie. She's forced to wear contacts for the next movie. So it's confusing when they wear contacts and when they don't, but then the vampire's eyes change color unless they drink human blood. Then they're just red. So I don't really know.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is because in the scene where Jacob discusses that the house is surrounded by werewolves to Carlisle and again, I never remember his wife's name. Um, but
Renee?
Renesmee? Esme.
Esme?
Renee,
Renee.
right?
That,
Oh,
It's
well,
no, I think it's Esme.
that's Bella's mom, right? Renee.
Oh, yeah,
so
Okay,
Renee
so
Esme.
then
is
Esme.
Bella's mom.
Yeah,
Yes, Esme.
Esme. Okay, so Carlisle and Esme. It shows Edward and Jacob talking, and Edward has black eyes. And we've discussed in previous coverages of these films that the black eyes are contacts to cover up his yellow at school. And I was curious, why is he wearing his contacts at home? And then with Carlisle and Esme, they both have black eyes as well, opposed to their yellow. That clicked in my head of why are they wearing their contacts in the safety of their own home when in previous scenes they're yellow? I saw it as when they have black eyes, they are low on food and starving and need food to get back up to yellow.
Interesting.
Because I don't know why they'd be wearing their contacts at home.
Yeah.
That's a good theory.
I mean, if they put them on earlier in the day and just kept them the whole day, I don't see much of an issue. But it's an interesting theory. I'd have to look at all the movies to see if that actually fits, but I'm not going to do that. I'm
Too
gonna
much
watch them
work.
all back. It's Twilight. Come on.
Yeah. It's just something I caught, and I just didn't understand why they had black eyes at home if they've been kind of trapped at home by the werewolves. And then I'm like, oh, it might be starvation of food.
I don't know. If it was me, I would kind of find it annoying having to take them on and off all the time. And I wouldn't have an issue just keeping them on until bed or something. But we don't really get anything off of it. But I like the theory.
Yeah. And Daisy, I agree too. I think we discussed it in Eclipse that I think we agree that red eyes are human blood drinkers and yellow is animal vegetarian drinker.
Okay, cool. That's kind of my thought process, at least.
Yeah, that was discussed in the previous one.
Now, we've discussed a couple in the past about dates in in these films and when they take place. We kind of get a really good one that the wedding is on Saturday the 13th of August 2011. Meaning when the line, I think Alice said tomorrow will be perfect, states that the film takes place Friday the 12th of August 2011 is the first day of this film.
Well, that's in line with our 2010 estimate last movie, right?
2010 is when it actually
Or the first
started
movie.
in the first movie because of the Riley missing poster.
Yeah.
So the first film takes place 2010, and then this is the following year, 2011 of August. So I'm keeping tabs on that, which I kept tabs of a couple like little lines throughout the movie that give help to the dates of the film. I guess since we're doing popcorn, I can just find them and go to them. So they go on their honeymoon afterwards, and Bella wakes up asking how long they've been on the island, and Edward says 14 days. So that's another 2 weeks past. Meaning it is Friday, August 26th, 2011. I did look up a yearly calendar to find the exact dates. Then Jacob essentially walks into the Cullens house because he thinks he owns it, and Carlos says that they came back 2 weeks ago, making it now Friday, September 9th, 2011, which is 5 days before Bella's birthday on the 14th. There's a couple days that go by after that because of the cycle of nights. But I don't know how exact those are from the time jumps. So we're within maybe 2 or 3 days prior to Bella's birthday going into the next film.
Yeah. And then there's the potential day of travel of the honeymoon to the Carlisle's house, because it's
That's the whole flight.
Brazil to Washington.
Yeah, that's about a 16-hour flight.
And depending on what time of day, it could cross into a new day. So,
Well, we discussed that
little
Edward
bit of
has to do it
wiggle.
at night, but
Yeah.
but
To
who
pass.
knows?
I mean, if they have a private island, they probably have a private jet.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they're definitely arranging some sort of private flight when they need to get back to the Cullens.
Yeah.
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 So
They're
just keeping the
rich.
dates.
All aligned. Yeah, good work.
Which means I really hope they tackle Bella's birthday in the next movie. Unless the movie takes place in one day.
It might. They've condensed timelines before.
Daisy, you want to talk about something?
Sure. Let's talk about the honeymoon and how when they first walk in, it's like all romantic. Edward picks Bella up, they walk in. First of all, the island is literally beautiful. And then they go into the bedroom and like they both look at each other, like hinting, what's gonna happen. And then Edward's asking Bella, "Do you want to go for a swim?" And she's like, "Yeah, that'd be nice. Can I have a few human minutes?" Why the hell is she shaving her legs?
Great
She
question.
just had a wedding. She
It's
just
girl
had a
minutes.
wedding.
You didn't calculate that.
Okay, but like, I'm a girl. It takes a long time to shave your legs. Okay. Second of all, it's the day of your wedding. They would already be done. Third, what is she doing? Like literally, I've
Well,
never understood that scene.
if they flew out to Brazil, it could be like 20 hours later. But still, in the span of 20 hours,
Still,
how fast does hair grow on a woman's legs? Or an 18-year-old's
still,
leg, I
yeah,
guess. On her wedding. But yeah,
I don't know.
Edward
I've
was in
never
that
understood
water
that.
for over an hour, just waiting. Because
Yeah,
she's brushing her teeth, she's shaving her legs, she's
She's
doing her
prettying
eyes,
herself up.
she's brushing her hair, she's going in the water. Why the hell would you touch your hair?
I don't
Well, as far what
know.
was after the water.
No. See, what I think, which is one of my gripes with this movie, what I think this scene is a music area where there's good instances in this movie, which I think is one of the worst things about it, where it just focuses on a music. Like, this is a music video part. Because it's really, like, the song does not fit the tone of what's happening. It really feels like something out of,
True.
like, Freaky Friday. Like, oh, I'm being a klutz. I don't get it. And there's a couple instances where you just have like Bella like looking or thinking with this song number going on.
I
That's
definitely
true.
I definitely understand the intention behind the scene, but yeah, the time is a little bit off. Like if it was, if they drove from where they are in Washington all the way to Rio, I would understand why she wants to shave her legs, because that would be a quite a trip. But if they flew, I don't really see much of an issue with it becomes more problematic, I guess, the scene.
The only song that stood out to being off to me was the wedding one, where the lyrics were like, "Now I'm a fat house cat."
Oh yeah, yeah. Chasing a poisoned rat.
Why is that
I
the wedding song?
I think that's the same song they played during their dance at the junior prom at the end of the first movie.
Yes,
One of the lyrics
yes,
did
it
sound
is.
familiar, yeah. But
That's why
In
it's
which case, good
used.
attention
tonally
to detail, I
tonally does
guess.
not
But
fit.
the lyrics are well, what's the other one that just keeps saying cold over and over?
Um,
There's a song that just keeps going cold and just like little beats and then cold and that's it. And I'm like, I don't understand what this is about.
it's music. And
The be-
Edward's cold because
hey,
he's
I'm gonna say
got
best music in
a
this movie
body.
is just the theme song, the Twilight piano keys, which happened once.
There's one part I wrote good music. I don't know where that is in my notes. I don't know. I'll read it at some point. Maybe it's what you were talking about.
I mean, as
Uh,
weird as the music was for the wedding, I did really appreciate the camera angles when they were giving their vows and how it almost made it look like we were the one telling Bella the vows and then vice versa with Edward. I really did like how they like panned back and forth when they were talking to each other. Made it more of a conversation with us and them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
yes. To add on to that, I also like they keep up the at least the character trait of Bella not doing well in crowds, but like so her dad and Edward kind of help her through that. And obviously, when she's focused fully on Edward, the crowd disappears. It's kind of cheesy, but I still appreciate the fact that like because it gets the point across that like she doesn't have any issues with the crowds as long as Edward is there.
I thought that was a great detail upon their kiss, and it's like even though it's probably just a once kiss, to her it felt like a whole makeout session, and they're the only two in existence, and that's totally fine. What would have been cheesy to me is if there was like fireworks going off or something.
Sparks.
Yeah, like something like Ryder. I know you haven't seen it, but there's a kiss in the movie Free Guy that does that, and I'm like, if something like that, then it's a little over the top. But
Yeah. Like I said, this wasn't too cheesy. I acknowledge this is cheesy, but it wasn't too out of the realm for me to throw me out of the movie.
yeah, no, I thought it was good. And what you said, the talk back and forth, the conversation, I think that really helped the pacing too. It wasn't like a whole 10 minutes of the vows.
Exactly.
It wasn't the priest from Princess Bride. That's for sure.
That would I
Marriage. That'd be better.
I can't say it would have been that would have made it better.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very smart that way. Eventually the priest we hear at the start of everything, but we kind of the film kind of essentially erases the priest. So like
He's some
as you
extra.
put,
He's some guy we've never
yeah,
seen before.
that's true. So are a lot of the evidently the Alaskan family of Cullens that we've never seen before.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, actually, this brings up a good question. Do you think the priest was a vampire?
That'd be
I'm gonna go with
ironic.
I'm gonna go with no, but
Oh.
they could be,
So I'm like
could
in
be.
secrecy the whole family of demons to a priest?
He
Well,
doesn't glisten in the sunlight.
yeah, and we gotta remember Edward's religious. That's part of why he doesn't want to turn
He's old fashioned.
Bella.
She,
Sorry.
she, she has a soul.
Yeah. So that it wouldn't surprise me if they hired an actual priest. That's very up Edward's alley to want that.
Okay.
That's true. And maybe to make it more traditional and real for Bella for the wedding.
Mhm.
So, well, what is a soul in this? Because if Bella doesn't act different in the next movie, what is a soul then?
A soul is a sign
If
of
you're
respect that Bella
if
does
you're the
not give a
exact same
shit
thing,
about.
he doesn't care about her soul one bit.
No. Crimson, I'm waiting for your question that you usually give at the end because I actually have a difference in an answer.
Between the
Stay
two options.
tuned. Yeah, stay tuned, audience, because this movie has swayed me back and forth.
Wow. All right, good. That's good. It's variety. Uh, yeah. On the wedding bit, I just wrote, "Who the heck are these people?" And it wasn't with the Alaskans either. It was just when they were walking down the aisle, I'm like, "Who the heck are all these people on both sides, both of the families?"
Extras.
There's just so many. Why couldn't it
It's
have been like a small little family
it's Mike
gathering?
and Eric's extended family.
Yeah. Mike's family came over.
Yeah.
Was
I think it
Tyler
also
there?
proves that
No, Tyler was not there. Tyler's locked up. We've made that perfectly clear. Daisy, in case
Daisy,
you,
you were about to say something.
yeah,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just think it, like, proves Alice's point of being, like, so extra and over the top all the time, like, when, like, Jessica and, like, everyone's, like, walking around the cake and, like, they're like, "Oh my god, it's like," they thought it was gonna be bigger, and then Alice and Jasper walk over, they're like, "Oh, do you think it's too much?" Like, I think it's just to show that, like, Alice literally invited everybody possible for this big, huge event because that's just who she is. So I think it was more of, like, for Alice and to show that she's over the top for, like, the people in the audience, you know?
yeah, like matching
Yeah,
the party she threw after prom or graduation.
yeah. Alice
Exactly.
is Alice is very much the social butterfly of the Cullens. So it wasn't too much of a shocker for me that it was a big wedding because Alice was the one who wanted to plan all of it. Because Alice doesn't really get the chance to do that sort of thing all that often. So she's the kind of person to just grab every chance she can get to throw a party or celebrate something.
Do you
Exactly.
think because of Alice's enthusiastic nature about the wedding and everything is giving her ideas about herself and Jasper?
Are
Maybe. I
are
don't know.
maybe because I don't know if her and Jasper are officially married. They might be, but who knows?
Yeah, I
If
was
They
they're
don't
trying to
really
not,
think:
get
then
is Edward the
much
first
of them in this.
Cullen child with marriage? Because I don't think
I
Emmett
would
I
and
think
say
Rosalie are
so.
yes.
married. Is you're saying yes?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I would say yes, but then again, I haven't really watched the movie to pay attention to that. I don't think Alice wears jewelry, and Rosalie, I've never seen a ring on her finger, but then again, I wasn't looking for one, so I would say that yes, they are the first married children of the Cullen family.
Okay, because I think
yeah.
that it helps Alice's excitement to do the whole wedding, or like another aspect of it. But
That's true.
speaking about rings on fingers, I have an interesting question that really kind of baffled me. Do you wear your engagement ring going down the aisle on your
Typically,
wedding
but we
day?
didn't
Depends.
see we didn't see a ring bearer, so
No, she's
Uh,
wearing the ring of Edward's mom down the aisle with Charlie.
yeah, and then you don't need a ring bearer for a wedding. The odd thing to me about that is because it's ring bearers are kind of traditional, and this seemed to me like it was going to be a traditional wedding. So it's odd for me that aspect is missing, but it's not inherently an issue with like if you chose to walk down the wedding aisle with your ring.
But is her engagement ring that ring her wedding ring? Or is it a different band she puts on? Like, is she
I
just
mean,
wearing it as an accessory?
I feel like weddings, like, they're subjective to the person. So really, like, it's however you want to perceive your wedding because it's like your special day. And back to what Ryder was saying about like how it was a very traditional wedding, I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, they didn't have a wedding party. Like they didn't have the entire Colons as bridesmaids or groomsmen. Like it was literally just Edward and Bella. So the fact that they didn't have a ring bearer, they didn't have a flower girl, that kind of ties that in for me. As for the engagement ring, there are some people out there that have just an engagement ring which they turn into their wedding ring. Like they don't have a second band. I did think it was a little weird that she was wearing it down the aisle, but again, it proves that point. It's just the two of them. And I think it would have been weird to have an added scene of like maybe the priest giving them the rings or Charlie or something. I think it just tied it in really nicely because honestly, I didn't even really notice until you mentioned it, Sprinks.
Okay.
Yeah, I no, I think the ring bearers would have if they did do the traditional ring bearer thing. I do think that would have messed up the pacing because I do think once they get to the end of the aisle and she and Edward are together again, I think it's very smooth from going from that to kind of the after party. Um, all this to say, I like I said, with how traditional I guess that aspect was for me. I'm surprised they didn't do the ring bearers, but I don't consider that to be a flaw of the film because they're obviously taking some leeways.
Okay. I was just I didn't know the ruling of a wedding if it could be the engagement ring is the wedding band on your wedding day. Because I know there's instances where you can walk with the band already down the aisle, and the groom can already have his at the aisle or at the altar. But I didn't know if it was the same green bean or different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think Daisy said best. It's up to the individual who wants what the persons want for their wedding.
Yeah, I guess the
What do they
one
want to do?
detail that would have helped that I didn't mark down, unfortunately, was if that engagement ring she has, because it's very large and prominent, that Edward gave her from Edward's mom, if that was on her left hand ring finger. That's the detail I didn't write down. If it is, then I guess it slides up. If it's not, then I think that's an issue. Because then it is instigated as an accessory.
Wait, you're saying when she's walking down the aisle, you're not sure if you noted if it's on the left hand or the right hand?
Yeah.
So if it's on the right hand, it's noted as an accessory, but as soon as she gets up to the aisle, maybe when they're exchanging vows, they switch it onto the left hand?
If
Is that
that
what
is
you're
the
saying?
ring used as the wedding band, yes. Because I know when Charlie's walking her down the aisle, she is wearing it. I just didn't catch the detail if it's on her left ring finger.
I'm almost positive it is because she's holding Charlie with her left arm, and I'm
And the
almost positive
bouquet
that's
with her
the hand
right.
it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing it on the bouquet hand. Also, just a side note, her ring is fucking ugly. I'm sorry, but it's horrible. I
It's
really
old.
don't like
It
it.
looks like a turtle shell.
A 150-year-old
It's so
ring.
gaudy. It's horrible. I don't like it.
I'm not a big fan of it either.
It's a little shield.
I thought it was okay.
It's just very Kardashian to me, and I'm not a fan. I just don't like the
Oh,
gaudiness of it, and it's just not Bella. Like, I know it's a family heirloom and everything, but it's just I don't know. I just thought it was really not a great fit for her. Like, her wedding dress is perfect for her because she's just a simple person and just the elegancy of the lace and everything, but then with that ring, it doesn't tie it in for me. It's just so out of the normal.
I guess that blame can go to Edward. He's the one who chose it.
Well, it's a family heirloom, right? Isn't it the
Yeah,
mom's
but
ring?
he did choose to give it to Bella.
I mean, I guess. But maybe it's showing that, like, she's one of them or whatever, you know? And she's going to be changing into a vampire, so maybe, like, having that change in fashion, I don't know. I'm reading too much into it. I just don't like it.
Hey, that's fine. That's what we do on the pod.
That's part of the fun.
Yeah. Daisy, you're familiar with
I
Riverdale, correct?
Of course.
Okay, we had a huge conversation where we covered that about Cheryl Blossom's brooches. So, yeah, we can go into anything.
Cherry bombshell.
Yeah. Anyway, Ryder, you were saying?
Yes, I was gonna say I like the detail. It's a throwaway line, but I like the detail that Jacob was invited to be the best man.
Okay,
Which
yeah. I couldn't tell if that was a joke.
whether it's a joke or not, I think it still shows, I guess, the relationship growth between, or at least the respect that Jacob and Edward are carrying over from the previous film.
Yes, the
That
snow tent.
tent scene was everything.
Yes.
I guess that's a good question. Do we think that was a joke or not?
I don't.
Okay, you think
I
Edward
don't think it
actually
was a joke.
sincerely asked Jacob to be best man?
Yeah.
No,
Yes
I
and no,
don't.
right?
I think Bella asked him because the bride can ask someone to be the groomsman or the best man. You don't have to have a maid of honor. And in this instance, Bella chose Jacob to be the best man, in my opinion.
Okay.
I suppose that's possible.
Because the
Yeah.
only thing that gave me a hint, which is another weird thing, hint was that only Jasper and Emmett were a part of the bachelor party, and Jacob wasn't a part of it, which makes sense. But that made me lean more that one of them was the best man. But it brought up a question of where was the bachelorette party for Bella?
You don't have to have,
That's
I
true.
guess, yeah.
but Alice
That's
would
true
probably
too.
set one up.
With how Alice wants to do a lot of things, I'm sure Alice would want to do a bachelorette party. But then again, was Alice the maid of honor? Because I don't think there was a maid of honor.
I don't think there was a maid of honor, but it also just shows that Bella is just not super into like being a girly girl, you know? So having the fact that like Jacob was her rock and like the best man for the wedding, I think it just symbolizes their relationship.
Okay. Also, Jasper jumping up on that window and smiling, that was freaky.
I thought that was funny.
Jasper doesn't smile. It's not out of character, but man, it's not normal.
He smiles. He smiled during the whole training thing in the last
It's
movie.
just how awkward he is around things. So seeing him like happy is like frightening.
I feel like it
I
was mostly
understand
the
that.
first and second movie. Like, couldn't had a hard time controlling his thirst. But now that's gone now. Now he's totally
Oh
fine
yeah,
with everything.
he's fine. There's, well, kind of, because Carlisle says he has O blood, and Alice takes Jasper for a walk.
That's true, but that's also, like, visually, like, pouring blood into a cup, like, I'm
That
sure
is,
that would
yeah.
freak anybody out, you know?
Well, some. They're not consistent with it, fortunately.
That's true, that's true.
Something, and it's not a consistency, but a detail I like in this movie that they finally did was when Bella's in her room and looks at the dream catcher before the wedding, her hair moves with the breeze of Edward going into the room at super speed.
Yeah,
Detail that I caught that I like, because they don't do that in any of the other ones, which gives the impression that yes, he is hiding under her bed.
We did discuss that thoroughly.
oh my god, that's creepy.
Yeah, when Charlie walks in, where'd Edward go? Did he go out the window real fast? Well, if there's no wind, he just went under the bed.
Well, there was a shot of the window in the shot not opening or moving. So Edward couldn't have left. He
Oh,
had
that's
to have
right. The
hide
curtains didn't
behind the
move.
bed. Yeah, he had to have been hiding behind the bed or ran in the closet or something. But that was a different movie.
That's true. It's just a detail in this one that I caught that I'm like, good job.
Something I've been bringing up the past couple movies, Alice and her powers. And they tried on this one to work around them. There's some protective veil that she can't see around the baby. Bella's future is uncertain. You couldn't predict the werewolf stuff because her powers don't work around werewolves for some reason sometimes, but sometimes they do. Uh, but Alice calls Bella immediately after Bella's like, I'm pregnant, I think. Boom, Alice calls, what's going on? Something's going on. So she saw the baby because there's no other reason she'd call. But then she's not supposed to be able to see the baby.
Ooh.
So what's wrong there?
Was it
That's a
so
really
much as
good point.
seeing?
Maybe
I'm trying to think. Could have been something other than, like, what if she just saw Bella vomiting? Is it anything to
I mean,
do with the
that's in
baby?
relation to the baby.
So anything that,
She couldn't see anything
maybe
regarding Bella's future, right?
I just saw that as like the possibility of Bella's death. You can't see a vision after death. But that is a good point. What I found weird with that scene is that the phone rang in Edward's pocket and Bella took it. I didn't know if that's Bella's phone in Edward's pocket and she's taking it out, which questions why does Edward have her phone, or if it's Edward's phone ringing and Bella just takes Edward's phone out of his pocket.
It's weird. Same with the last movie where Jacob answered Bella's house phone for her
Oh,
when she's
that
right
was,
there.
yeah.
The same thing.
that was
It
weird.
was
That
picked from
implies
it.
that Bella would have agency as a character, and
You're right. You're onto something.
Yeah, I don't
I
I
kind of
don't know
think
why
that
it just wasn't on
it's a
Bella.
well, I think it was Edward's phone, and that's why when she's on the phone and she asks, "Do vampires go into shock?" Because Edward can't believe what's happening. So I think it was Edward's phone that Bella picked up. But then what Crimson was saying about Alice's powers, I think maybe she saw Bella pregnant, but she just can't see past the pregnancy. So she can't like see the baby. She can't see Bella because obviously Bella like dies, quote unquote. But I think that's kind of what they're talking about. Like when she immediately gets that phone call, I have a feeling that maybe she had a vision that Bella's tummy is grown or whatever, something like that.
it could also be she could also be seeing something in relation to Edward directly, since it's Edward's phone that she calls. Because I remember her or Bella grabbing Edward's phone, I think, from his pocket. At least that's how I remember the
Yeah.
scene. But I
The
could be
phone
totally
goes off
wrong.
in Edward's pocket, but I couldn't tell if it's Bella's phone, because it's not a lot of time for Bella to be like, Edward, answer your phone, because he's in shock. It's just, it rings once and she goes for it. So I didn't know if it's Edward's phone that Bella just goes for, or if it's Bella's phone. But then I'm like, why does Edward have Bella's phone?
I mean, I guess the one way to maybe they're just close enough in their relationship they don't care who answers each other's phones. That might be. They might be
Could
at that
be.
level.
They've been on their
I don't
honeymoon for
know.
2 weeks now.
They've been playing chess for 2 weeks.
Maybe.
That's
We'll get there.
oh,
Maybe. Actually, this is
Bella
popcorn.
beats him
We
in
can get there right now if we'd like.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Sure. I don't want to prancy foot around this. They are on their honeymoon. And then there's the night swim. And then hanky panky time, where they break a bed. But
hanky panky.
well, whatever. I'm being PG.
Make whoopee.
Yeah, I'm being PG. Then they have like chess and Bella in lingerie and their jungle hike and the water little play where yet in those scenes Edward is being distant. He's like running away from her. And then the chess on the beach where it gets all wavy and she wakes up from having a good dream to Edward. Now when she wakes up from having a good dream, it is night, which I caught. Is that implying that since the night swim, she had a nightmare? And like that whole chess and jungle and all that was all a dream?
No, that was not all.
No.
No.
Okay.
Not what that is implying.
I don't think so.
That's definitely not what it's implying. Though
Okay,
the interesting thing about the
because that something that helped with that is that the cleaners or the house maintenance,
Housekeepers.
they came the following
housekeepers,
day, which means they came after 2 weeks. And I guess that's okay, but it also means they were sleeping in a broken bed for 2 weeks.
I mean, the mattress wasn't broken.
Just the bed frame.
yeah, that's not too bad.
Okay.
They just have to swipe all the wood off of the mattress every night.
Now,
So-
that's assuming there's only one bed in that house. That's a pretty big house.
That I thought was totally fine because it's Carlisle's house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there better only be one bed. But so is that saying that the last chess game on the beach is the only instance of this dream that we're seeing because of the waves in the transition for it?
The interesting thing about that last bit, the reason I know I thought the last bit for sure was a part of the dream is because you hear a child's laughter.
Oh,
Really?
didn't
I
pick
thought it was
that.
Bella laughing.
Oh, maybe I heard it wrong. I didn't hear Bella's laugh. Either that or it was very poor ADR. But I heard a child's laughter.
I heard like an echoing, like Bella laughing, and like she like attacks him, and they're like laughing on top of each other. Like she moves the chessboard out of the way. That's the scene we're talking about, right? Like the dream.
Yeah, on
And
the
then she
beach.
wakes up, and like you can like kind of hear the laughing in the background. I think it's almost like an echoing, and that's when Edward's like, "Are you having a bad dream?" And she's like, "No, it's a good dream." And I think it's just to basically symbolize that like she just wants love and affection, and Edward's being very distant because he's afraid that he's going to hurt her again. Because after the first night, obviously things happened, and so he just feels horrible and like doesn't want to hurt her, and he doesn't want to lose control because of
'Cause
the
of the
vampire
bruising.
powers or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But Bella just wants, love and affection.
Okay. That's another thing that made me think that it was all a dream because they're in their swim trunks in the stream and Bella doesn't have any bruise marks on her.
Well, what's his face from the previous one didn't get the proper bruises either. So
True.
it's not like
But
this movie
they
keeps
do show the
continuity.
bruises on the arm and the shoulder. But I'm like, is that showing that it healed the next day? Or like that whole sequence is the 14-day span and like healed over that time? Because how I interpreted it was that they did their night swim, went to bed. The whole thing was Bella dreaming of stuff that happened. She wakes up and then Edward's like, no, we can't, because when she wakes up, she's trying to kiss him. And that's when they had sex, because then the following day, the bed gets fixed.
Oh, it's not hanky panky anymore, huh?
It is a PG-13 movie. I can
No,
change.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think that the dream sequence was just her wanting love and affection, and everything that happened actually happened. And I think it was just a mishap that they didn't add the bruising to Bella because these movies are so bad, but they're deliciously good at the same time.
Okay.
Delicious.
Then I mean, the bruising's just a continuity. I would have liked a sequence of transition or something to imply more that last beach thing was a dream.
Well, it's not quite a subversion, but it lulled you into a false sense of reality. You thought it was real until it's revealed, oh, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
If they made it more obvious this is a dream sequence, you'll lose that aspect of it.
And that's what makes
So
me question how far back of it was a dream. But I guess the
I
indicator
think
is
just that
Edward
scene.
being distant and then Edward being close.
Yeah.
I mean, another good indicator would be if Bella beat him in chess, but they just kind of stop.
and then the chessboard obviously referencing the book cover. Chess
Yes.
piece. Obviously. Push my glasses back into my face.
So that was I guess to me, not a very great transition or implication, but one I will touch on that I thought was really good was in Bella's bedroom, I guess before the wedding again, Edward and her talking, and Edward's like, oh, there's some things I need to tell you more from my days of a serial killer, and it's cutting back between the two with a slight zoom, drawing some tension, and then cutting to the Bride of Frankenstein scream. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that.
And then the detail of a black and white monster movie, and Edward saying he's the monster, and the movie goes to black and white.
I did like that. I wrote that down as a note too.
I like that detail a
A
lot.
little pet peeve of mine, and I can't get any comparisons in my head right now, but I know I've seen it. But when I see The Bride of Frankenstein in other movies, like it's on a TV and it's there, I'm like, "Ugh, come on. She's in. I watched that recently, like a year ago, because I was excited and watched a bunch of the Universal Monster stuff. I was like, oh, this is a good one, I hear. And she's in it for a couple minutes at the end of the movie. It's like, I was, it's the show, obviously, which one it is, but it's just a pet peeve.
It's a pet peeve to you that Bride of Frankenstein is used as references and things, but you know
This
that she's
tiny
only for
segment,
a little.
she's barely in it. Yeah, it's like, oh, of course, that's the scene. It could have been the entire anywhere in the movie, but it's that one bit that she's barely in it. Yeah,
Well, does it also help with the time frame? Because I guess was the Bride of Frankenstein in theaters?
the 40s, early
Okay,
40s.
because that shows again, Edward was changed in 1918 when he was bit.
That's what we've been told. Yes.
Okay, so then 1940s, a couple years later. Also, Edward says he went rebellious against Carlisle, and Carlisle allows it, which covers over the Rosalie question we had earlier.
Yep. Carlisle's very hands off, apparently, which I do have some issues with. But
Uh, I don't know what point you were making there. I got lost in it. Uh,
What point was it?
I don't know.
I think I was just saying that
I'm fine with them
because
watching
of.
Bride of Frankenstein. Just the odds of it being
Okay,
that
I
one
think what I was
scene. It
going
could have
with is
been any
that
point in the movie.
Edward being rebellious in here after a couple years of being changed, which could have been 20 plus years from 18 to 40s. That it's fine, I guess, for Rosalie going on a rampage in the last movie to take out all the men who beat her
Oh, you're connecting Bride of
under the eye of
Frankenstein to
Carlisle.
Rosalie.
Yeah,
I see the point you're making now.
and then again, because we also didn't find the time era of Rosalie, right? That could have been the 30s.
Yeah, I don't think they gave a date regarding that, or
Because then
like,
that can go.
60 years ago.
Well,
Thing
that
is,
could
or
also
something
go
like
that Rosalie's rampage was before Edward's.
that. It's possible. I didn't
But
really get a timeline. Let's see. Daisy, I think it's been a moment since you've pitched something.
Okay. We should talk about the giving birth scene and how I did not like how it was filmed and how flashy it was. I have issues when it comes to like flashes of light. and like the strobing, and it's very hard for me to watch that scene because of all the strobing effects.
Do you think it's to convey like Bella going in and out of consciousness?
Well, her
Yeah.
body's in shock,
I think that's
consciousness,
I think it's definitely the intention is supposed to be Bella's POV. I also have issues with how the scene was filmed, but I understand they're trying to give Bella's POV in that scene. But it could have been. I think they could have done other things.
I, I thought it was actually done pretty well. My issue with it was why the heck is Edward chewing at her instead of using the
Oh,
scalpel that
yeah,
was
using
already
his
there?
mouth to on a C-section, which would be
Yeah,
the first instance of venom.
yeah, man, it's really
Yeah.
convenient. They sent the doctor away, man.
That I did like in that scene. I went, "Where the hell is Carla?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's hunting."
Yeah, he's hunting.
Yeah,
They
it's
took care of
convenient.
that, Sprinks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very convenient that he's off hunting and Bella just happens to give birth.
is that
My
what
the, I
Alice was
have
doing? Alice was on the phone trying to find him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
telling him to
yeah,
hurry back. Yeah.
yeah. Mm, I have some issues with that because I mean they know Bella's close to giving birth. They would not send Carlisle away. They would have sent Jasper to hunt instead, and they could have just brought the food back.
that's true.
Oh,
That's true.
Yeah, I had some issues with that because that's very much the world building trying to placate to something they want. They need Edward to do something very specific, so obviously they need to get the doctor out of there. It was too much because it was a very easy fix, and I hated it.
Was Carlisle
well, they,
already gone on the hunt when Bella went for that back-breaking milkshake?
yeah, he was gone already.
Okay,
Yeah, he was gone already.
yeah.
My issue is that I don't think he would have gone away at all. They would have just brought him food back. Because why would you send away the one person who could supposedly help?
No, that
I
doesn't
mean,
make sense.
devil's advocate is they had the whole Jacob as a decoy for the werewolves so they could escape to get food. That decoy wouldn't work on the return home. So having numbers to fight their way back to the house is certainly beneficial, which I think is what their headspace was when they talked about Emmett joining along for the hunting. So
True, but Ryder's point still stands. Just change Carlisle out with Jasper. It's still the same
did,
number.
did Jasper not go?
No,
No,
Jasper's in the house with Alice. He's just disappeared
that's why
from
when
the film.
the werewolves arrive, it's Edward,
Oh,
Jasper, and Alice out front.
yeah, only Esme and Carlisle and Emmett go out for the hunt. If only they're only sending 3 people out for the hunt, just replace Carlisle with Jasper. It'd be
Yeah,
so much easier. Send Alice out so that way
That's
they can
true.
predict the werewolf movements.
Well, Jasper's their best fighter, so they could have left him there as the
that
house of
seems like more of an
defenses.
instance to take him out. It's more dangerous outside.
Well, their goal is to save Bella right now. So if they sent their best fighter away,
The
what's
werewolves are
stopping
already
the
in the
wolves?
house. The werewolves are already protecting the house. They already have help. So it's I don't think Jasper being the best fighter is enough excuse to switch them out.
I'm gonna say, Crimson, you're giving some fine points. I'm on Ryder's side with this. I think that was a dumb move of them.
I'm saying it's dumb, but it's not unfounded. I think there is some logic rooted in it that they can play with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one element is that Jacob did inform all this news to Carlisle in uh, Esme. So like directly to him, and he's like, "Okay, I'll decide what to do," which is to go out and hunt. I guess that helps. Jacob didn't go to Jasper about it, but Carlisle's smart enough that
There,
he would have just
there's also other
distributed.
avenues.
But
Why couldn't the werewolves hunt for them and just have all the Cullens stay there? Like they could have done several different things to get Carlisle food within the house.
Well, how would I guess the werewolves could carry it in their mouth. I'm like,
yeah, but the
how would
werewolf,
they
I
even
feel
get
like the
there?
werewolves would be a lot of second guessing.
And there's the chance that the alpha could convert them back to their side, which is the whole problem I have is how they even split up from Sam because
They just chose to. What are you talking
they just did it.
Yeah,
So
it just
easy.
happened.
I'm gonna go. It's weird. That might be my least favorite scene in this whole movie. Is the whole werewolf meeting. It did not feel like Twilight whatsoever. I felt like I was watching a completely different movie. It was like a scene out of the live
When they
action
started
Lion
hearing
King.
their thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just these talking werewolves.
I don't
I
really have a problem
appreciate
with it not feeling like Twilight, but
I appreciate what they want to go because that's an important meeting that we should be privy to. But legit, they should have just transferred back
Just
into
do it in
people
person.
so that people
It would
could
have
act.
saved budget too.
Yeah.
I think it was to add drama.
Oh, that's obviously what it's there for. I agree.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I am the great grandson. Roar.
Uh, worst voice acting. Was that
They had to get modulators. They're wolf
It was horrible.
voices.
I mean, you can still voice act and have modulators and still sound good. That sounded horrible.
Oh, looking at my notes. A point that I could tell that Bella was having a dream about the wedding, the bad dream, which, I mean, great on Charlie to look so defeated because Bella's been a complete bitch to him. Bella's family is on both sides of the altar.
In the
Bella
dream?
doesn't care about
In the dream,
continuity.
Charlie's on Bella's right, and
Renee?
Renee, thank you, Renee and Phil or Paul or Phil,
Phil.
on the left.
Paul. Paul's the werewolf.
No, the
One of
stepdad.
werewolves. Yeah.
That's weird. I don't remember that detail. I believe you though.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
like,
she
oh,
doesn't
Bella's
know the
families are
Alaskan
split.
family
So
members yet.
yeah, she doesn't know Maggie Grace yet, which I totally forgot was in this movie because I remember from the next one. But
Yeah. Let's see, writer. You
In
got a point? Never mind. Daisy, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Ryder, you can go ahead.
You're the guest. I think you
Go
override
ahead.
us.
Okay, sorry. I just had a quick
Alright.
question for you guys that saw the theatrical view. Did you guys have the scene where Rosalie makes food for Jacob before the labor scene and everything? While they're at the house?
That
no,
doesn't sound familiar.
makes food for Jacob. Oh no.
Or
Only thing in
Oh, yeah.
relation to food is the sandwiches that Esme brought to the werewolves.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Was it Leia? Was
Okay.
like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat.
So, yeah, Rosalie brought Jacob a hot dog in a dog bowl.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Did not see that.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
he
funny
serves it on the floor.
yeah, it's pretty funny though because Jacob takes a bite of the he takes like a fair portion of the hot dog in one bite and then throws the rest of it in the dog bowl and hits Rosalie in the back of the head as she's walking away.
Oh, why did they cut that?
It was
And
pretty
she
great
freaks
because
out.
she freaks out about it and Edward has a laugh at it. And it kind of it's a bond. It shows a bonding moment for between Jacob and the family. I think even if it's more on the crass side, I really appreciated the scene.
Oh yeah, we didn't get that. I guess that
Did you
Yeah,
makes
guys?
it's
it
pretty
less
funny.
sinister looking that Jacob's gonna murder Rosalie going after the baby. That looked like a scene out of like Halloween or something.
I have another question for you theatrical watchers. Did Leia and Jacob have a conversation at night near the stream outside of the Cullens
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
theatrical version? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one screamed to me like an extended scene, but I wasn't sure. So
I mean, it still could be, but there's a version of that we saw.
We saw the theatrical, so yeah, that's the mainline one.
all right.
Sprich.
Well, something I found odd, which I know is a movie moment feel. Bella going down the aisle with Charlie. There are no speakers present, and there is no musicians present, but music is playing. That is outworld music for us, the audience, to hear. In world, it's silent. There is no noise. Is that normal? Because I
It's
feel like that would
the
be
same
so
thing-
awkward.
Thing Daisy said earlier, where it's however they want the wedding to shape.
Subjective to the
if
wedding?
They didn't
Okay.
want music. If they didn't want music, they don't have to have music.
Okay, that just shows to me that Bella and did walk down the aisle in silence.
It didn't.
Well-
You just have the sounds of nature.
Yeah, it wasn't
Not
necessarily in silence
necessarily.
either because they have sound stuff on the side. We see it later during their after party. So
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say at the reception there's a whole band and like there was music playing, so maybe we just don't see it on camera for the wedding. So it's not really important, you know? Like the music is there for us, like as the viewer, like you said, Sprinks, but at the same time I feel like there would be music because that's traditional. I can't imagine she walked down in silence, but again, to prove my point, weddings are subjected to the bride and groom, so she can do whatever she wants.
Okay. I guess I just saw that as an editing choice then. that the music we listen to is not the one in world, if there was any.
It definitely is a choice. The whole movies are made out of choices.
Well, true. It's just something I caught. It caught me because I'm like, that would be awkward to have it without. But again, subjective to the bride and groom.
Since it came up, I kind of want to talk about the werewolves suddenly making the choice to violate the treaty. I think this is not a character for Sam, the pack leader.
Oh yeah.
It's very much out of character for
Can
Sam.
someone
'Cause,
explain to me the reason why Sam cares so much about a hybrid baby?
I can't. And they also say Bella's going to be a killer, and I have an issue with that because they clearly have no issue with Bella turning into a newborn.
That was the
Earlier,
point I was
Is
gonna make next.
is there a rule in the treaty that the Cullen Coven can't add more members?
no.
No, there
No.
is kind of. It's they said they can't turn anyone on their land. So if they did it
Correct.
outside their land and brought in a new member, they can do that.
So does the
But
baby to the treaty count as turning on their land because it's being birthed?
I mean, it never turned in the first place. It was
It was conceived
its
not
own.
on their land, so
Yeah,
Okay, that was my question to it. I'm like, is adding numbers a thing? Because the werewolves keep adding people. Like Seth's new, and the Cullens aren't freaking out about it.
Hey, we
Mm,
love Boo Boo Stewart though.
Oh, that's exactly what our guest
that
last
sounds
week said.
familiar.
Oh, he's so
Lope,
cute.
Lope said that.
We're 2 for 2. Will we get a third one from our next guest?
Who knows?
uh, but yeah, so are we all in agreement that it's out of character for Sam to
I
suddenly violate treaty here?
I think it's more out of
Without
just care. I think it's just more out of plot. Like, what's the deal? It's just added
I think it's
drama.
kind of to symbolize
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. The
exactly.
intention. Yeah, they absolutely character assassinated Sam in order to have some sort of building tension here for the final act.
and it's impressive because Sam was not much of a character either.
Yeah,
Going
it's
into this film.
impressive they managed to assassinate him on like the few traits he had, which is annoying.
Yeah, because in early in the film here, he talks to Jacob, and he's like, "Are you sure you could don't kill Bella, break the treaty or whatever?" I'm like, "Okay." They're establishing he cares about the treaty and stuff, and then, like you said, later we got to break the treaty, got to
Well,
kill that
they
baby.
yeah, it's very much a juxtaposition. They think the treaty is void because Bella is being turned and stuff like that. But they clearly didn't care because they were intending to bring Bella back as a new blood anyway. So
Yeah,
it's
It's
just I
it's
didn't like
drama
it.
added that did not flow.
Yeah, it's for me. It's the character section and that's I put above the plot issues, but it's definitely also there explicitly to drive the a particular direction for the plot. It's got its issues on all levels because it's also affects the world building because these are the same werewolves that fought us alongside them in the previous film.
Of course, it's
They're
affecting every character in the story.
yeah.
Yeah, this. eh,
Bella's
Well,
choices affects us all.
yeah. Um, a little side note. Daisy, I know you have a selective time with us today, and I'm trying to respect that of keeping on track of your time. How much longer do you think you have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. How about we go to Crimson? I apologize, but Daisy, if we could go to something we haven't covered yet, you'd like to talk about.
Um, sure. Let me just look back at my notes and see. I feel like we've covered a lot of what I wrote down. Did anybody have any questions about the movie?
Well, I had one. Is Jacob racist?
You're gonna have to back that with
We're gonna
something, I
have
Because
to
think.
during the
yeah.
dance at the wedding, and Bella says she's going to be a vampire, and it causes Jacob into a fury against vampires, and that he'd kill Bella if she changed. Is that just like Jacob being full on race, like how hatred
No.
he is on a vampires?
You misunderstood that scene. She is not. He's not angry at Bella for turning to a vampire. I mean, he doesn't want her to, but that's not why he got really angry in that scene and wants to kill her or kill Edward because he found out that she's planning to have sex with Edward before she changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which could kill
He's just
her.
very protective and jealous.
No, yeah,
Well, he's
Yeah.
also just jealous.
no, yeah, he's jealous the whole time. But I'm not questioning of why he got angry. I'm questioning that him saying if Bella changed, he'd have to kill her because she's a vampire.
Yeah, that's a threat that's pretty much rendered moot, though.
Okay,
It's
but
not that
Jacob seems
he's
to be the most hated. Like no other werewolf is about that. They don't like werewolves, but they're not bloodthirsty
he's
like he is. Like he gets to the point where he's
yeah,
seeing red over anger.
yeah, yeah. It's not racism. It's more like it's a threat in order to try and keep Bella from turning into a vampire because he'd rather her stay human. He
Also,
doesn't want her to die.
the werewolves would absolutely kill every Colon if they didn't
If they
have the
could.
treaty. Yeah. So this threat, if they turned Bella, which is what he's going off of, he would have to kill her, and he's just letting her know that while he's also upset of what he's learned here. So I guess you could say he's speciesist. Sure, he hates vampires as all werewolves do, and the vampires don't like werewolves.
Okay, species.
But they are getting closer here. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he's racist. I agree with Crimson. On that note, though, about the werewolves, I did like how when they're running and they're talking at the same time, it's like an echo effect when the werewolves are like in their werewolf form. I did like how that was filmed.
I like the voices growing louder in Jacob's head before they all met up for the meeting because I'm kind of in agreement with Sprinks that the meeting itself when they're all gathered in like the log area, it's very funny and weird, but I liked everything up until that point when Jacob starts hearing the voices growing louder as he's running to the spot where they're going to meet.
Yes, I agree with that. Like, I guess like the voices growing louder, I heard it more of like echoing. But yes, I definitely agree. The actual meeting itself, I agreed, was really stupid.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess if
I
that's
agree.
the questions for Daisy, then before you leave, if you could give us your rating of the film.
I would rate this movie a 6 out of 10. It's definitely not one of my favorites for like the entire series, but it did have some really good qualities overall. I would have rated it higher if it didn't have all those flashing scenes because as I mentioned, I just have a lot of sensitivities, so that's kind of why I rated it lower, mainly because I had to look away so many times. And some of the scenes are just flat out really uncomfortable and really cringy. But otherwise, I love these movies. I love this series. I will continue to watch it on a rainy day, and they are just so bad. They are deliciously amazing.
Awesome. I
Really
guess
delicious. Huh?
before you leave, if we could ask, which one is your favorite, and what would you rate it, and which one's your least favorite, and what would you give that?
Okay, my least favorite is New Moon. It's just too slow. It's too depressing. It's just Bella needs to get over herself, and she's just too much. I would rate that probably a 3.5. And my favorite is Breaking Dawn Part 2. I love Breaking Dawn Part 1 because of the wedding and the romance in it, but just like I hate the ending. But Breaking Dawn Part 2 is definitely my favorite for, I don't want to spoil anything, but for like the big battle, is all I'm going to say. And I would rate that one 8.5.
Okay.
And in this film, are you Team Jacob or Edward?
I am Team Edward all the way, always and forever, but Daddy Carlisle and Daddy Charlie definitely on the side.
All right.
All right, well, that answers that.
Is that our first Team Edward?
Yes.
Well,
So far,
at this point,
yes.
You guys are Team Jacob?
being Team
In the
Jacob for the
previous
past
films.
3 films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Keep
decide what
ass.
we ask what team we're on at the end of each film. So
Okay, well now I'm curious. Did you guys change your mind after watching this one?
I guess we
Ooh.
can do it now. We don't have to save it to the end. Well, Ryder, which team are you on now?
want to be honest, I'm still undecided until we reach the end of our notes.
Aw.
Yeah. So
Boo.
technically,
What's your placeholder?
well, my placeholder would be what I picked last film, so I'm still technically Team Jacob.
All right. Sprinks, you hinted at potential change.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to like my answer. I'm kind of with Ryder. I'm really at a 50-50 now. I feel so bad for Edward in this movie. He shows so much sacrifice for Bella and care, and Bella is treating him again poorly.
It's all
Oh yeah,
himself.
oh yeah.
It's
Bella treats
self-inflicted
Edward
pain.
like shit. in
Yeah.
this film.
It's making me feel really bad for Edward about how much he cares, and Jacob is just this ravenous jerk in this one, and I'm kind of like 51% Team Edward of this film.
Ooh.
Ravenous jerk.
He's
Can I
just
pick that a little bit?
it just seems like he's protective, but he's so just like angry with the decision that he's not respecting Bella's choice, and he's still like
Her
against
choice
Edward.
sucks.
I mean, yeah, it's Bella. She's not thinking that she's just like blindly like love what she sees love, but
Okay, well,
after
let
the
me put it
last
this
movie of
way.
this whole
Remember,
triangle of
Edward
caring for
asks.
Jacob, and this movie she doesn't seem to care about that what she said in Eclipse.
She was going to name her baby after him and Edward.
Yeah, EJ. Yeah, I'm sure Jacob was thrilled for that.
Yeah.
Thank God it was a
I,
girl.
yeah. I'm still on Jacob, but I do agree Edward did improve.
Edward had a lot of catch up in this film. And I mean, the thing that still tips the scene that's coming to mind right now that still tips it to Team Jacob for me is the fact that Edward goes to Jacob to try and talk Bella out of the pregnancy.
She listens to you. No, she doesn't.
And I guess to help with Daisy here, Daddy Charlie fans?
Hell yes.
Easy.
Team
Is there
Charlie
any
all the
other
way.
fans really?
Okay.
Hell yeah. What about Daddy Carlisle?
That has never been brought up, but
Has well, we complimented how he's more of a complex character in the previous
yes.
film. We did compliment him. He's good. I don't think he's anywhere near Charlie level.
I don't
for
think
me,
he's daddy
but-
level. I think Carlisle could be cool teacher. I don't think he's daddy level.
I think Carlisle could be daddy, but I would be. It's a lot more subtle.
Gonna have to look at the definition of daddy.
Oh, you have fun with that.
I'm not doing that.
Make sure to turn the safe search off, Crimson, and
No,
well, daddy, a father.
leave it on.
of
You'll
a
learn
child.
so much more. Anywho, Daisy, thank you for so much for giving us the time to be on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Who knows? We'll maybe have you again in the future.
We shall see.
alrighty, bye.
Hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you. I had a great time. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you, Daisy.
Goodbye.
Bye. And then there were 3.
We're losing people. All right. Let's see. I think it's been a second since I said anything first. Running it through my head. Let's talk about how very dead Bella is, and not when she actually dies either. The whole back break and the crazy sound effect of when she landed on her knees and shattering her patellas.
The crack sound that played, I was like, oh shit.
This is so weird. But she's okay. She's just lying down, getting eaten by Edward.
A bit of that O positive magic, I guess.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Let me find that in my notes.
I think the worst line in this film, and not, yeah, I'll say it. Tastes ... good. What are you talking about, Bella? You are a human, and that is still blood. That tastes like iron, rusty metal disgustingness. Tastes
you see,
good.
that
Get
is
outta here.
pregnancy talk. You know, like pickles and
No.
ice cream.
They could have mixed cranberry into it for all we know.
No, that's it. I hated that line. It was so stupid.
I'm gonna be that person. How in the fuck could the baby be nourished by that blood immediately? Because this is not how.
Super baby.
Not how it works.
It's a hybrid regular human. Yes, hybrid baby. Don't know. The umbilical cord could be completely different than what we know in the anatomy, and could be like direct stomach, esophagus. Who knows?
Writers are implying it wouldn't have really reached there yet by the time
It wouldn't.
those
It wouldn't go straight
orgasms.
to the stomach. Is my point. It's like it wouldn't. It wouldn't go directly to feeding the baby. That's my point.
I don't know what to tell you. There's this. What is this? I don't know what they
There's,
call it.
there's like a,
This shell or whatever they can't penetrate of the baby.
Yeah. It's crazy. And more regarding this baby, and I don't want to. Oh, it's a hybrid magic baby. Is the stage of which Bella felt it moving, and having no belly shown yet, like not even a tiny little bit. Even a like hybrid baby at that stage wouldn't be at that stage. There would still be a size growth thing. It's just growing quickly. There
yeah,
would still be a bump at the point where it would start moving.
It grows within like 3 weeks. No, less than that.
2
2.5
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the 14th day is when the bump is seen, and
So
then
there's no bump.
Well,
And presumably
whatever it is, and
some
then
amount of time passes
Jacob
when
not breaks into the house, but like he owns it. Past Carlisle, and he says they've been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So end of honeymoon to Jacob seeing pregnant Bella's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or skeletal Bella.
Yeah. Gula.
Can we appreciate how how happy Jacob was that she looked sick? he was so happy
and I
that
told you
she
so
was
moment?
sick. Well, no, he went in there assuming she was a vampire, and then once he's like, "Oh, she looks terrible. I'm so happy she's not a vampire right now."
yeah,
And then there's
he's
the
happy because she's
pregnancy
human.
reveal.
Yeah.
It was just a funny thing seeing her miserable and smiling because of a selfish reason. Good to me.
Yeah. Did you guys pick up the detail at the wedding that Billy
Nope.
doesn't like Charlie?
No, he's just teasing. They're teasing each other.
Oh, you saw that as teasing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, I saw it completely different. That Billy thinks, how I read it is Billy thinks Charlie's okay with his daughter dating a vampire, but Billy doesn't know that Charlie has no clue.
See, that's CW levels of melodrama for me.
That's
and
how I took it.
I'm gonna give this film some credit. I don't see that at all.
There's nothing for that. Jacob knows Charlie doesn't know. He would tell Billy. Billy still hasn't said anything regarding vampires around Charlie to imply he's loose with the
I would
terminology of
have no.
vampires.
Then it's
So
just a
no.
tease of Billy just.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because remember, Charlie's flirting with one of the girls that came with Billy. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's not Billy's wife. It's like, because is Billy married to more than one person?
I don't know who the lady is in relation to anybody.
I don't know who Jacob's mom is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Billy was. I don't know. Charlie was flirting with the girl that was walking there with Billy. That she's clearly from the tribe. That's why Billy was giving him a rough time.
So it's like a knock it off kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, definitely a knock it off tongue in cheek thing.
Oh, interesting. Not how I saw it, but interesting.
And how do you see it?
I explained how I saw it.
Past tense. How do you see it now?
Oh, how do I see it now?
See it the way you did?
I still see it my way. Until I see more of Billy and Charlie interaction, because they do have that other scene where Charlie comes to dinner, but that's more focused on Jacob.
Well, we can't.
I love how we have 4 movies of them being best pals, and you get this one implication scene that could be explained away, and you're like, oh, he doesn't like him.
Yeah.
That is an unfair tip scale if I've ever seen one. But sure, whatever. However you view it.
I view things differently. We know this. It doesn't break anything. It's not severe.
Well, it changes how you view the characters.
In this one little instance, yeah.
You're going to carry that going forward.
It does break something because Billy wouldn't have Charlie over at his house if he doesn't like him.
Oh, see, that's where I don't see it as a huge grudge thing. It was just in the moment of like, you accepted this and kind of like cut off a conversation short, but then invite him into his house and dinner. It's like he's over it. They're best friends. They got past it. It's just a heat of the moment situation. Because to me, when Charlie's like hit by Billy, Charlie's not like smirking or laughing like, all right, I get what you mean by the hit. He's like, it looks like a face of concern. Like, oh, like either do you think Charlie's facial expression is showing like I went too far, I'm sorry, in what his face shows? Because I took that as like, oh, like confusion. It was not
Wait, you're
playful.
asking? Billy is not. Well, no, Billy's always been stern between the two of them. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I'm saying
They
Charlie's
they
reaction.
joke and laughter.
When Billy bumps
Charlie's
into
reaction
Charlie,
is
Charlie does not is like, okay, I get it. I'll cool down, like smirking or something, like being playful with it. He looks concerned and confused.
yeah, because Billy interrupted him. He was being flirty.
I see him with that girl later when
Me too. Yeah.
Bella makes that stupid phone call of
Yeah, that was ooh, oh my god, that's another issue.
Stupid phone call. Bring it up.
where's this line?
Bring up the
There it is.
stupid phone call.
She's going to a medical center of which she just said she was feeling fine, and he freaks out, and of course, because she's being stupid and said, why did she say that? She
The
could
phone
have
call with Charlie.
said anything.
Got it.
Yes, when he's with the girl at his house.
Yes.
Something's going on now with them. And then she kind of ends the phone call by, remember me like I was.
Like I
What
eating
are
pizza
you
on the
doing,
couch.
you stupid person?
And really just driving home that you're never going to see your father again.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Remember me
Charlie
when I was
appreciates this.
happy and healthy. That gives no implication. I'm totally cool now, Dad. Don't you don't get to see what I
feel
am now.
fine.
But
I'm just going to a medical center in Switzerland, and remember me how I was. What the heck?
yeah. Also,
She's trying to calm him
what a
down.
callback to Switzerland.
Oh, she's Switzerland. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Again, Bella treats everyone like shit in this film, and I'm completely unsurprised by that. I think. All right, let's talk about Edward's reaction to Bella being pregnant. I actually think his reaction is perfectly normal given the circumstances.
I
I
like that it
understand.
plays on
I,
two parts.
yeah, I understand that Bella is, hurt by the fact that he's not excited about having a kid. But he's freaked out about the fact, oh, we might have just made a monster.
That's the
Yeah.
two parts. The A, we made a monster and that's not possible. Never heard of this. And B, I'm a dad.
See, I didn't read any of the "I'm a dad" thing in his reaction.
Oh, to me
He
that's
even
just the
thinks
normal nature of it.
he even thinks he killed her. What his first action is to get the housekeeper lady to like, how do we save her? He thinks he just killed her.
Yeah, we are far from him accepting to be a dad. Like, we get there, Springs, but not in the beginning.
No, it's not.
I think the shock
he
plays
thinks
so
he
much.
killed her.
Yeah, another I guess 3 then, killing Bella. He did not expect to get her pregnant.
Oh, that's true, but no, that's different from him having to accept being a dad.
I don't see it as that way, but okay.
Let's go with Sprinks.
Let's see here. Well, I started off this pod with the quote that I thought was the funniest joke in this movie that actually did make me laugh. Emmett, up at the mic, which to me was very much in character to his older woman comment in New Moon of Bella, I hope you've gotten enough sleep these last 18 years because you won't be getting any more for a while, which to Emmett being kind of a dumbass is like, oh, vampire, you're not going to sleep, haha. But to the mortal humans in the crowd,
lots of sex jokes, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Does this have the most jokes in all the movies so far?
I don't know. A lot of people could say that over half of the first movie is a joke, but
intended jokes.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure the entire second movie is a joke, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know which one would have the most intended jokes.
I wouldn't know either.
Because I wouldn't consider any of these movies funny.
I legitimately think the second one is intended to be the funniest thus far because we have all the we have the funny situations Bella's putting Anna Kendrick's character through. We have the funny situations that she's putting Mike and Jacob through. There's a lot of like intended jokes that no one really laughs at.
Wait, right? Are you saying the thrill seeking is the jokes?
No,
Oh,
I said the double date with Michael and Jacob.
oh, okay. The only two who showed up to the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Punch
So like
fist.
that's clearly there's clearly plenty of stuff we're supposed to laugh at during that sequence.
I'll just say could be, because I don't know.
I would I want to talk about Rosalie for a minute. I actually think Rosalie the fact that Bella calls Rosalie and Rosalie is the like main protector for Bella, I actually very much like that because it would be in character for her.
Oh man, I had a feeling you and I were going to be opposites on this one.
Ooh,
Oh, all right. Then you go first.
And let's see, where in my notes, where did I write this? I think I wrote it like
that's interesting,
twice.
because I also have a point about that scene, but it's different than what you just brought up.
Well, it's Rosalie in general for me. I just straight up wrote Rosalie caring is bugging me. uh, it's in all the other movies she's been distant or disliking of Bella, and we learn in the previous one she had a perfect life and she wants to have a normal life now, but she can't as a vampire. So there's some groundwork for her wanting to see this baby's life go into fruition so she can live vicariously through Bella as a mother. That's not enough for me.
Yeah.
Because it
Let me
feels
provide
so artificial here.
let me provide the rest for you. The other facet that you're forgetting is that part of Rosalie's speech is that she was denied the option of choice
Yeah.
and chances. So that filled in the rest of the gap for me here as to why she would be on the side of Bella for this. She's not necessarily trying to live vicariously through Bella, but she's defending Bella's right to choose.
Well, and then we go back to Jacob's, I think, great speech, discussion, whatever you want to have it about Bella taking away his choice. And she cares way more about Edward, presumably, than Bella.
Oh yeah, Bella
So,
absolutely take away Edward's choice in this film. By the way,
so why doesn't she play for Edward's choice? She doesn't even really acknowledge Edward in this film at all, really, except for the procedure at the end.
That's
It
just
just
a
seems
warning.
they turned her to Bella's number one fan instead of
Should have been Alice.
Rosalie.
Oh yeah, I'm in agreement. It probably should be Alice. Um,
They cranked her to 11 when I don't think that's her character, even with the groundwork laid.
I guess I'm with you on that, Crimson. Yeah, it did seem. I don't know if 11's it, but definitely cranked up more than what's given.
yeah, it's cranked up more than what's given. Not out of character. I still think there's still a ground path laid there. See, the difference for me here is I think you said it was out of character for her. I'm not on that page.
Do you think
I don't think it's out of character for her.
Rosalie's more grounded in a conversation than Alice being optimistic about things?
I wish we had more Alice in this. Alice is barely a presence here.
I'm just thinking about a call in a situation of how dire things are happening. If Rosalie would tell her more straight.
Oh,
I mean, if you had the excitable Alice and the down to earth Rosalie, I think that would be better. Yes.
Yeah, I think that could help
but
justify
they put both
the con,
traits
but
in her.
that is true. It's
They don't put both traits into Rosalie.
Rosalie's not Alice Giddy, but she is more.
She's far more eccentric and energetic than the previous films portray her as.
You mean Alice?
No, Rosalie.
No,
I'm not going to count the first movie.
I don't think she's energetic or optimistic at all. You don't get that at all.
I'd say optimistic.
Yes, you did.
I said optimistic for Alice.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I do think the story in the last film about Rosalie's backstory certainly helps a relationship between her and Bella, but it's a little egregious for what's brought up. But no, what I actually found off with that scene is that Bella calls Rosalie without putting a number in. She literally just looks at her home screen and puts her phone up to her ear, and it's Rosalie on the end.
If that's true, that's funny.
What part is that?
That's when
When
she's
they're
in the
calling at the
car.
airport, right? Yeah.
Jacob, or not Jacob, Edward's like to the pilot, like talking to him and getting something out of his pocket, and Bella's in the back of the car and literally just turns her phone on and puts it up to her ear and is just talking to Rosalie on the phone.
All right, yeah, I didn't pick that up. That is them.
I yeah, that's funny. I can picture it too. I don't remember it though.
I'm just like, oh well, that doesn't work like that.
A question regarding this baby. It wants human blood. It lives within a human, and there are animal species out there where the babies are parasitic to the mother. So why didn't this baby just suck her dry immediately?
It's half human.
Because her
Oh, that's
problems
so fucking
were
cool.
she couldn't hold down food and she was pretty much starving herself.
It's sucking the marrow out of her bones. I guess in a way, just showing how frail her bones are.
I mean, the force of the size of the baby pushing out is what broke the bone. The baby can't touch her bones in there, so it'd be weird if it was sucking the bone marrow. But yeah, it should absolutely be just sucking her blood, I think.
Yeah, I half expected the baby just to crawl out of her, like burst through her stomach like it was alien or something.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I know, would have ended everything right there. Could have been the hero we all needed.
No, and then
Crimson, you're pointing me
nitpick.
to a question I have, but it's really gross. You know what?
Well,
I'll say
Has
it.
it ever stopped us before?
No, I'll say it, and it might get bleeped for the audience sake. But how much blood is in the percentage of afterbirth in the womb?
I mean, there is a percentage. I don't know it. Couldn't
Okay,
tell you.
because of that fluid that it's emerged in, would it drink that?
Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, the blood in what you're describing afterwards, I think, is from it tearing through,
That's the skin tissue.
what it's floating in all the time.
Okay, that's what I'm
entirely.
asking. The percentage of blood in what it's
I
floating
don't
in.
think there is blood in there. Floating.
There isn't blood in that substance. No.
Okay, so
And there's
it would not
also
drink that.
there's
Okay.
also the facet that the baby would be eating out of the umbilical cord anyway. Like it's not capable of eating what's around it. It would
Okay.
be just.
It also goes to the
And
development
again,
of a
I have no idea
vampire
what this baby is.
hybrid
So.
baby. If it did bite Bella on the inside for blood, would that transmit venom on the inside? That's
No,
if it has
we don't know
venom.
the incubation stage. If
So
when does it develop venom?
When does it develop teeth? When does it develop? Uh,
Yeah. So unknowns with the baby there. Uh, a nitpick with the baby is Edward conveniently just started hearing the baby right there in the
oh
middle of the
yeah,
conversation.
just
Uh,
happened.
that's
a-
okay. It's convenient, but it's fine. It's just a development.
at the second he's there, it's not like he walked in the room and he started hearing, because that means the
It,
baby could have had
it
thought before he
happens.
entered the room,
It
but it
happens
was during
literally
a
this.
conversation.
It happens literally the second he tries to apologize to Bella for being so distant and angry. Because, Bella made the choice without it, pretty much.
I find it
Um,
convenient for the story, but not unbelievable of the possibility.
odds are small.
Yeah.
But it's not possible. But that wasn't the part I was going to go for. The part is the baby is quite knowledgeable to convey its thoughts for Edward.
Very coherent thoughts.
Enough to the point where it sounds like it understands English and can convey English back to Edward. It's not just like, oh, happy baby, sad baby. It's like, oh, it likes the sound of your voice. It's more descript. And he calls the baby a he still. It's not revealed till the end that it's a female. I'm like, wouldn't the baby be like, no, dad, I'm a girl.
You're putting a
If it's
lot of intelligence in this baby.
Edward does. From
He's
his
conveying emotion.
responses.
Just emotions. He's
I
not
think that was
being
just
he's not being dumb and just being like, it's happy. It like you happy. You make it happy. He's actually just saying like your voice is making it, it likes the sound of your voice because he's picking up the emotion of when they're speaking that it's positive.
He's inferring then.
That's
He
what
could
I
totally
took
be
from it.
lying.
There's no way the baby understands English.
Why not? It's a hybrid baby.
That's too
See, you got
far-fetched for me. Too far-fetched.
Okay, Sprinks. I'm lost of what you consider too far and not too far. This
I
seems
don't
totally
think
within your
the
lane.
baby in development is picking up brain activity enough to understand grammar and English language through hearing voices on the outside of the pregnancy belly through Bella for the past 2 weeks.
The vampire baby. It could be a quicker development in its
You know,
cognitive
actually,
abilities to be able to hear and understand.
Crimson, I'll give you the
It could
benefit
have
of the doubt. I'll give you
superpowers
the
because
benefit
it's
of
a
the doubt.
vampire.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Right now, I'm going to be in the 50-50 reign. I'll wait for the next movie and see how smart this baby is.
It could have superpowers right now.
It could, but I don't know that. It very much could.
Ooh. I'm gonna stop. Ooh. All right. Let's go with writer.
You kind of alluded to one of my more minor nitpicks. I find it very weird that everyone just makes the assumption that it's a he from the very beginning, and they constantly refer to it as, because it happens multiple times before the end, and then
Oh,
they
it's because
finally, acknowledge when Bella's crafting the names that it might also be a girl.
they wanted to make every time someone being Alice or Edward referred to it as it or a thing. If they were all like it saying it all the time, it would diminish the times Alice and Edward were calling it that. Because Rosalie's always butting in like it's a baby or whatever stuff like that. But I agree, it's annoying that they just defaulted. Oh, it's a boy.
Yeah, it's a little nitpicky for me, I suppose, but yeah, the general feelings towards it.
The constant assumption.
Yeah.
It's not even, well, I guess the only second guessing is when they go over the baby names.
Yeah, which is I think what Ryder said.
Yeah.
Because it's perfectly normal calling it an it as long as you don't know what it is. So.
Well,
a thing, that's a little bit different
a thing
territory.
or it, just go with the
Edward
they, because you're unsure. Because Rosalie continually, not comments, but corrects Alice when she just calls it a fetus. She's like, it's a baby. And I'm with Rosalie here. It's a baby. You don't know what kind of baby.
You got to be careful in the territory we're walking into.
Yeah.
I will have no comment on that.
I will say baby. Hybrid baby. But so
Ryder went quiet.
Well. Yeah, Ryder, fetus or baby?
Or no comment, as I wisely have decided.
Well, what you're asking, what I would refer to it as?
Yeah, Alice or Rosalie, fetus or baby?
It.
Okay. Pennywise,
right.
It'll be. I looking at my notes. I like the earlier where I said like I feel sad for Edward, like feeling bad for him and leaning to his side of the speech he gave at the wedding about how he bared his soul for Bella when we know his ideology on souls. And I thought that was very powerful for him to say. And very moving.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If he had a soul, he would certainly bear it to her. Unfortunately for Bella, she does not care at all about souls. So that speech meant almost nothing.
She doesn't care about souls. She doesn't care about his patience. Doesn't care about his wants. Doesn't care about.
Don't worry, Edward. We appreciate what you said because we knew what you meant by it. We don't know if your wife, however, does.
Yeah.
She only cares about his body.
I'm like, that is a big step for him to just say. I'm like, that was really well done. Very good on him.
I mean, I poked some fun at it, but it actually, I'm happy that we got, I guess, clarity on his backstory. Like, we know the murders and stuff that he committed. So, like, he shared the darkest part of himself with her at that point. So it helps feed into that speech.
All right. What do you guys would have preferred if he was actually killing indiscriminately or the hunting killers? I would
I would have been
preferred
fun.
I
indiscriminate.
don't care.
I would have found
You
it
don't care?
funnier.
I think it changes things depending
Oh,
on
it
which one you
absolutely changes
prefer.
things.
So,
Yeah, it changes things for me. I would find it so much funnier if he was killing indiscriminately, and Bella is just that dumb.
That's how I took it in the first film. Is that it's indiscriminately, and he's just killing, and he goes, "I'm a murderer." He never brought up. It's 3
Yeah.
movies later till he brings it up,
Yeah, he clarifies it here.
which
This
seems
is-
like it's a wedding breaking, the marriage is over kind of conversation, which is weird. But it's actually
I'm
like
a murderer of
better.
killers.
You've told me you've killed murderers. Am I supposed to feel worse
Yeah,
now
we've
for
already
you?
touched on the whole Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer thing with him in the first movie coverage, so I don't.
Oh,
It makes him sound better in this, but still, he should have said it in the first one. And then
but
this
she's not
one,
okay with Jacob being a killer.
no, it would have been
Potentially.
actually more in the vein of like possibility and drama build if the first one he said he did that, and then this one he brings up the instances where he didn't, and see Bella's moral compass overtaking love or not. But they did it the other way around, so it's like, I guess that strengthens Edward to make him better.
Yeah, because I would certainly have preferred indiscriminate because it would have showed how desperate he was for the taste of human blood. The and how he just loses his morals, but he kept his morals to a degree, which is I think undercuts the whole point of I'm a killer. It's like, I'm a killer, but I'm kind of a hero, you know. It's like why can't he just be a killer?
So he was never bad to begin with, and it just kind of the
Wow,
issue with this is that it kind of makes his edginess in the first film superfluous.
is it a cleanup? Because as we've seen, as these movies go on, there's things that happen in these later movies that are changing things in the previous ones, but the previous ones on their own don't have it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you're referring to
I
retcons.
Yeah.
Yes.
So knowing all this
I
now, going back to the first movie, what a movie now. But see, the difference is they're adding things; they're not changing things.
Yeah. The additions just happen to suck and damage.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the imprinting, the thing they keep mentioning through the film.
Okay.
Leia wants to imprint. They
Oh, that
look at all
imprint.
the wolves, happy they're imprinting, and then we finally get Jacob's imprint. Everyone's like, it has to be
Oh,
Bella. Why
okay.
hasn't he done it all these
You got 2
movies?
talking points now. We're talking about the Leia, the
I'm
soccer
talking
beach.
about imprinting as
Oh,
a
imprinting
general
as a
term
whole.
here.
general topic.
I'm like, those are 2 different scenes.
Because
But
we get examples, we get wants from other members. Jacob presumably has been wanting to imprint with Bella, but he obviously can't, and now he wants to move on to something else. And then something else happens and saves this child's life. Who wants to scream what happened to save this child's life?
imprinting.
Hey!
Is Jacob not imprinting on Bella showing the respect he has for Edward? To kind of
I
It's
play
not a
slightly
choice.
off of that
It's
tent.
not a choice. Imprinting is it's good to see sound weird. It's like a true lover's trope in the way that they use it. Like the
Oh, it's
idea
just
that
true
you
loves, first kiss
yeah,
kind of
like
thing.
the idea that like you are soulmates kind of. There's a lot of soulmate stuff. Like, the moment classic one that always comes up in fiction is that you see the world in black and white until you meet your soulmate and then everything turns to color.
Okay.
It's kind of it's a soulmates thing.
In
That
that
the
instance,
imprinting
it
as far
just
as
shows that
understanding.
Bella was never the imprint to begin with. But
No.
Jacob's idea of what it is he wants for Bella, but it
Well,
never occurred.
little bit of knowledge, but they try to explain it in the next movie.
Oh.
But it's still crazy and lucky. I mean, he was going to kill that baby.
Oh yeah.
If he didn't
No,
imprint on it,
that
that's a dead baby.
it looked like freaking Michael Myers coming around that corner of the Cullen house with that shadow leading up to Rosemary or Rosalie. Just, whew, cool visual. Actually, that whole scene was cool visual. Like the whole wolf and Nesme like growing up and everything, and then like her eye is like a teenager going down back to the kid to the baby. I'm like, that all looked cool. Now, Renesmee's face was a little off with the CGI, but other than that, I think it was fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll only get better with the faces of CGI characters going forward.
We'll find out next week, but
I mean, you can't get worse going forward.
Don't know about that.
You can only get better.
Don't know about that.
Budgets get bigger.
Dude, Crimson.
Technology is cheaper.
On Stranger Tides is one of the most expensive movies. Wasn't that better looking than Dead Man's Chest?
Yeah.
Good example. So, I like romantic concepts. I like soulmates. Imprinting is a cool concept. I don't like this for the very obvious reason. It's a child. It's a newborn.
That portrayed to me that it's not sexual. Imprinting is not a sexual act.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sexual act. But
it is for the future.
It is for the future. But the thing is, for this, no wonder it got made fun of. Is kind of guess what I'm getting at. And mind you, werewolves are immortal, right? Or they can be. They're weird. They can choose to be immortal.
I don't know,
but
they haven't covered that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember some comment. I don't know if it's because it's in the next film or if we've already passed it, but there's a comment about how werewolves can live forever, but it's like they can, unlike vampires, they can just choose to stop living forever when they want.
That's weird. No, we haven't really seen a huge passage of time to portray that.
Okay.
Or a really old werewolf already. So, unless Billy makes a comment that he's 300 years old or something. I don't know.
I think something that I was thinking about to fix the scene. I think Jacob should be in denial.
Oh, like not believing that this is imprinting?
Well, he knows what it is, but it's more like he's in denial of like, no, this is,
It can't be for what Edward's made.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah, I think he's because Jacob would understand what imprinting to a degree would feel like because of his relationship with the pack
and his connection to the minds of those who are imprinted.
Yeah, so I would want Jacob to be in denial because I think that would help with the I guess the meta look at of what's going on. And I obviously I would prefer to move Edward's no offense, Edward threw Jacob across the room in order for them to have a fight for no reason at the end of this film. Because if Edward waited to do that until the end, like after they left, they wouldn't have been a fight at all.
Yeah.
Because Edward throwing Jacob across the room, obviously the point of it is because he read Jacob's thoughts and saw that he was about to make an attempt on his new daughter. So it's an appropriate reaction, I think. But I like to think Edward is smart enough to wait until the current situation is settled because the werewolves are moving in.
Well, we established in the first movie Edward's stupid. So
oh yeah,
I don't know.
Very stupid. For me, it was just again they made a choice.
Who isn't?
Yeah, they just made it.
Charlie.
They made it. Yeah, Charlie. It's a shame he's not here.
I don't know.
But it's like obviously they made the choice so they can have their climactic mini skirmish outside. But I genuinely think it would have been funnier if they moved that moment of where Bella throws Edward throws Jacob into a fucking tree outside, and it's essentially the same interaction, but it was after the issues were settled. Because Edward's smart enough to spout off the rule about imprinting that they've invented, that the werewolves aren't allowed to attack whoever, like an imprinted person.
Mm-hmm.
And he's deprived himself of something that could defy. He knows he's outnumbered when he's going out to fight, so it bothers me that he didn't do that first because he knows Jacob since he knows Jacob can imprint it because he read Jacob's mind, that he didn't let Jacob settle the fight first. It's clearly plot progression stuff, which is
It is. They're trying to wrap it up. The whole
with
ending.
action. Yeah.
Yeah. Are the bad guys, in air quotes, better in this than the first two?
Ooh, good question.
No. Because then again, I'm on the opinion that
Well-
they got character assassinated along the way.
See, the thing is, I would not consider the werewolves bad guys in this movie.
Are we
Well,
going to
they're the
consider them?
antagonists here.
Are we considering the Volturi the bad guys in this film?
Get
Is the
outta
hybrid
here.
the bad guy?
Oh, the hybrid is.
I'm kind of gonna go with there is no bad guy in this movie. Are the werewolves conflict with the Cullens?
They
better
want
or
to
worse
kill
than
the
James?
protagonist.
And who was even the bad guy in New Moon? What was that again?
That's how good it is. The Volturi at the end.
Oh, the Volturi at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no. Sam and his pack is not as good as James or the Volturi as villains in their movies.
I can't forget. Well, we all agreed the Eclipse villains were the best ones so far. Right?
I think that's why Crimson didn't
the
put it in the in the running here.
Yeah, so it was a give me.
Yeah, Victoria's Army, most consistent throughout. Actual bad guy.
Yeah.
Well set up, established. Not the most interesting of villains, but that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, it's tricky. It's the whole baby thing.
I don't know. Yeah,
I
that's the
don't-
thing.
I mean,
the
I think
Sam
you might have-
breaking because of a hybrid baby does not. It's out of nowhere.
Yeah, because it's character breaking is where I have a lot of my issues with the quote unquote antagonist of this film. And I mean, I get it. Everyone wants to have their civil war before Infinity War. It's not. It's something you want to do, but they just they broke characters for it. Is my issue. That's I guess where my main issue is because I think you hit the head on the nail. Otherwise, Sprinks, they're not really villains because they don't. They try, but they don't seem villainous. All they do is
Jacob
patrol around
steps
the
up and
house.
yells at them, and they're done.
Yeah, exactly. There's no consequences. And boy, oh boy, am I going to have stuff to say about consequences with regard to this franchise.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the next movie.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, a question I brought up last time that we saved for this one. How does Edward get it up? How's this work?
That's his second
how's
power.
the conception the thing? Because he has no blood. Maybe someone skipped our talk in
That's
Eclipse
his
or something,
secret,
but
Captain. It's always up.
oh, it's always ooh.
It's
Yeah. And
always
then-
saluting.
And then, like Edward the next morning being like, you're bruised and hurt, but Bella's okay with it. Edward, why are you kink shaming? She's into it.
Yeah. I'm
hey.
gonna be like, I'm gonna quote Jeremy Johns on this one. But if you had sex and all you got was those tiny bruises, here you go. That wasn't real sex.
Whoa. But
Bold quote.
see, it also plays onto Edward's sensitive side of caring. And Bella's side of Edward, I don't care. So
Yeah.
it makes me still feel bad for Edward in this movie.
Edward is such a self-loathing idiot. He's an idiot. I hate him. I hate everybody, I guess.
Charlie.
Yeah, that's true. Charlie.
Yeah, be careful there.
Sorry, I don't mean to include Charlie in front of everybody.
And some fans,
And
as we've
teacher
heard,
Carlisle.
Boo Boo Stewart.
I'm gonna have to
Uh,
ask them both about what the deal with Seth is, because Seth is nobody to me. I don't understand the deal with Seth.
Maybe we'll see something next. Hey, he took out Riley.
What are you talking about? Seth has such a deep and meaningful character. He's the only one that showed up for Jacob at first.
I mean, the werewolves are nothing to me. I mean, Sam, Seth, and Paul, Leia. I'm impressed. I know their names.
Well, we've kind of covered a couple movies extensively on this, so
Still,
Yeah.
you know how bad I am with names.
Yeah, I will say I think Yeah, I don't think they're fully developed characters. I like their conceptual nature, however, because the idea that Seth has been, no offense, he's been kind of brown nosing Jacob for the in Eclipse too. Um, so it makes sense that Seth would follow Jacob. I believe that, and he kind of reinforces that. It's like I'm willing to do anything if it's the right thing. Like that's why he ended up joining Jacob.
Yeah,
So
it's not
there
out of
is
the blue.
yeah, it's just not out of the blue. So there is work being done for them. It's just not extensive.
I think they're just made worse by how much they focus on the Cullens. Because they made, I mean, even, we got Emmett, but who cares about Emmett? Um, they even make parallels with Jacob talking about how they are a family like the one he was born into, right?
Hmm.
So even the movie's making comparisons about them, but one side is far more fleshed out than the other. And we even had the second movie's all about Jacob, the werewolves, um, and
And
they
the
didn't take the
Volturi.
opportunity to grow them. Well, at the end, yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm talking about this comparison here that they
yeah.
could have
Comparatively,
grown to be
yeah.
even, but they didn't.
No.
Yeah, and it bugs me because it's teased that they might do that when Jacob drives off with Bella and she's introduced to the werewolves for the first time. Like I would think when they're all at the werewolf house. So like there's definitely a tease that they would be fleshed out as equally. But really the only one that I would say is fleshed out as much as the Collins is from the werewolves is probably
Jacob,
Sam. Well, outside of Jacob. I mean
Well,
it's
Sam's the
probably
alpha.
Sam. Yeah.
and that's his trait. He's the alpha.
Yeah.
Well, no, we have all his relationship stuff too, and we have like why we get a lot of things vicariously through him in the sense of how he snapped and treated Emily. So there's a lot of extra little tidbits that go into Sam that's not really present in all of the other wolves. I'm not saying he's like I'm not going to compare him to Jasper or anything, but he's definitely reached at least Emmett level.
Okay, he's at a level. Um, yeah, and then there's Paul, the aggressive one. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And the other two guys, this is when Jacob tricked them, so the Cullens could leave for hunting. There was Paul and two other guys, and I didn't know their names.
I don't know who they are.
Neither do I.
Look,
And one of them
when
just left a lingering look of like
when
disappointment.
Sam
Who the heck are you?
when Sam goes to Billy and says like Bella died, and Sam turns around with the pack to go jogging off, can you name all like 8 of those dudes? Because I
I've
sure
listed all
can't.
the werewolves I know.
Yeah.
No, but I have another note to add onto your scene there, Springs. Why did they have to tell him like verbally that Bella
I
died?
don't know, because they have met. Can Billy not read the minds?
No. Billy can't read the minds. I'm fine with
Billy's not a
that. But the
werewolf.
fact that someone had to whisper into Sam's ear that Bella died,
Oh. Well, then I guess that
like
brings up
right
why
before.
were they there? Because they literally just say Bella died and then they leave.
Yeah, I assume. Well, no, the idea is
But they
that
already read minds.
Billy and Sam are arguing over the treaty. That's why they're there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. Is like he's like Billy's trying to defend what Jacob's choice is before they get the news that Bella's died, and then one of the werewolves leans over to Sam's ear and whispers that Bella's passed away instead of just thinking
Yeah,
the thought
there
at
he would
him
already
that
think it.
Bella's died.
Unless Sam's so engrossed in this conversation he's having with Billy that he's not reading minds.
I
And by
don't. Then again,
eclipse,
that goes to the limitations of that ability, and I'm not
oh, I'm
sure.
like in eclipse from the tent to the battleground, they can still pick up things.
Yeah,
Yep.
So there's
Edwards
range.
can they can do more than that. Edward can see the battle itself because he's able to understand how good Jacob is at fighting by watching vicariously through Seth.
True, but that's a whole new power. That's on sight.
Well, he can hear thoughts, right?
Oh, okay. You're saying showing the range as well as Edward's mind reading.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Edward's
Yeah.
reading the mind of the werewolf. That's because the werewolves all share the minds, and so the Seth is relaying the battle to Edward for him to read the mind of. So yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot going on.
I guess kind of off of that, in this movie, when Jacob's out in the woods and Edward's up on the balcony of his house, I like that. That I think I didn't pick up the detail of Jacob's mouth's moving from Edward's like over the shoulder, but like Edward reading Jacob's mind, and he's telling him what to do, and then Edward's just speaking, but Jacob has like super hearing to hear him. I did like that.
Yeah, that was good. I agree. That was pretty decent.
Talk about the warning part where they do the focus in and out part.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
he's like, they're coming for Bella.
Okay.
but they're like a good distance away from each other.
I'll tell you this, Springs, because I don't remember Jacob's full journey. I was this close to writing another mini essay on Jacob's refusal to be a pack leader
Uh-oh.
and why. And I was really going to be really brutal with it. I was going to compare him to Aragorn.
Yo, don't do that.
I decided not to because I want to
That would
get.
be
If
a
I end up
mini
doing
essay?
that, yeah. If I do that, I want to wait till we see Jacob's full story.
I guess a point with Jacob that I found very convenient, just like movie moment sequence, when he comes out of his like rage of seeing red, and he stops after getting hit by a truck, and he cries. His cry when it goes to the other wolves. It's very convenient that they're all in wolf form.
Well, it's been established that they feel more comfortable in wolf form, but I guess it's convenient that all of them
They're like
are
all just
werewolves.
paired and just cuts between them in pairs as wolves.
Yeah. All they'd have to do is just show one group is still human, they hear the cry, and then they transform.
Yeah, I found that very movie moment.
I agree.
I'll give you that one.
Movie moment.
The howl, going off memory, I don't know where it is on my notes. There was a moment with howling where it transitions into the song that's being played.
Is that when they're in the car
that's them
driving off from
leaving
the
on their
honeymoon
trip.
and it's
Yeah,
dark
they
and you
got
get a
married,
really
yeah.
cheesy, corny howl, I guess, of Jacob in the background, and then it pans to the moon?
I mean, if you want to phrase it as corny, cheesy howl, I didn't see it that way at
Oh,
all.
I thought
but
it
I
was
did
very
like
corny.
it. I liked it. I thought it went well with the music that they had with it. That might have been the part where I talked about liking the music, but I still can't find it. 3 pages of notes.
Very tiny thing.
That's right. Okay, you go ahead first. I was just looking at my notes.
Yeah,
I found something.
Yeah, a very tiny thing. Alice wanted to stand with Jacob outside so she doesn't have to deal with all the visions.
Oh,
Or is that an extended?
I'm gonna guess extended. I don't remember Alice being outside, other than the fight with
yeah.
the werewolves with
There's
Jasper.
Yeah, after Jacob storms off after one of his conversations, because Jacob's always storming off with one of his conversations. He goes outside to keep watch. Alice joins him, and they have a nice chat. And she enjoys being next to Jacob because being next to the werewolf, she doesn't get flooded with visions, so she gets a break.
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, that's not there at all.
These scenes of Jacob with the other family members sound great.
I know. It's great. That I guess that's probably why I'm still Team Jacob mostly.
Yeah, we didn't get anything else. We just get Jacob storming off and being a jerk.
Yeah, you got more balanced stuff with Jacob and the Cullens and in the extended
Okay,
version.
not a jerk. Very hot-headed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hotter than you. He told us all this.
Yeah, that's true.
And he cuddled with her again.
That was I don't know how I would consider that a cuddle. He leans next to her and gives her his hand.
Yeah, I think he just moved closer because I generally thought it was more about warming up her stomach.
Yeah, I don't know how much irradiation of heat comes off of a werewolf. Like, what's the distance that you can feel like the temperature change?
You said you had an additional note that you just found, right, Springs?
Yes, I was gonna go with Jacob after the wolf talk, where he like raises is like, I'm the great grandson or whatever to Sam, and then runs off. When we see him next, he has a shirt on.
Oh yeah.
Did he grow a shirt? Did he grow a shirt, or was there a spare in the forest, or did he go home and change? I was like, he should be shirtless because he's going back to the
Like-
Cullens. This is when he's standing
Could be
outside, and
any
then
of the
Seth comes up to
options.
him.
This is what
Yeah.
we call an inconsistency.
Could be any of the options you listed.
Yeah.
Spawned it, went home. Don't know. But I'm just going to go with continuity here. That's the most reasonable thing for me. I'm going to dogpile more on Bella.
Wolf
I
pile.
feel like we haven't done enough of that already on here.
Of course, please go right ahead.
Yes, the family brooch, which we touched on briefly, but I wanted to dive more into it on how terrible Bella is. Because the mom's really digging into her, like, oh, and one day you could give it to your kids. And at this point, Bella knows she's not going to have kids because she's going to be a vampire. There's no family to pass it down to, and she's just, oh yes, mom, yeah, thank you. And it's like, Bella, come on, can you be a decent human for once in your life?
Maybe in a different movie.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, it'd be difficult to have that conversation with them. Like, I don't, but I mean, it could be from the perspective like I don't plan on having kids. You know.
Yeah, she could have said that, but no. She left the mom thinking happily that Bella will consider having kids in the future to pass down the heirloom. Don't like Bella. You know.
I got a note
You want to
for
convey that a little more?
Darn you, Bella.
I got a small note for a wasted opportunity. Seth and Leia had no idea Jacob was going to use them as part of his plan to bait,
Yeah,
and
they
so when the
kinda read
werewolves run
minds,
off,
just-
we don't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only can they read minds, but also there's no like questions to follow after. Well, actually, they can't read
their
minds because they're not in
minds.
the packs. They're not in a pack anymore, so they're all individual. So it makes sense that Leia and Seth can't read Jacob's mind because they're not in a pack together.
Oh, guess that helps as a detail. But they just
my
go
issue,
along with it.
yeah. Well, I mean, like my I guess my wasted potential scene is because they're clearly surprised by what Jacob's suggesting, and then they realize that it was a trick planned on to begin with. I'm surprised they didn't have a follow up conversation. That would have been really ripe and character rich.
Yeah, they decided
Yeah.
to use that time for throwing a dog bowl at Rosalie's head. Which also brings up the question that Rosalie went and got a dog bowl. Because the Cullens don't have dogs.
Yeah, it raises questions for sure.
She really went
The
for that joke.
Yeah,
Well, maybe Alice got one and then Emmett ate
Jasper
it or
killed it.
something.
Yeah.
Or Jasper. I could see Emmett doing it as a joke.
I'm a werewolf.
With a dog. Emmett. Who did I say? I
said
said Emmett,
Emmett.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, eating a dog to turn you into a werewolf.
Another possible inconsistency I saw, or continuity, Jacob changing his shirt color from black to maroon. I don't know if you two caught that. He's telling the Cullens about the hunt thing, and he's in a black shirt. And then he's outside talking with Leia, and I can't tell because it's night. It could be black or maroon then. But then he's looking over Bella, and he's in a maroon shirt.
Nope, didn't pick up anything.
Okay.
I think he's wearing black outside, but if he's wearing maroon on the inside, it's a little bit of an
I'm like,
issue
I
for
don't know
sure.
if he just had a spare at the Cullens house. Don't know why. And it's
For all
not the
the
next
game
day.
nights he comes over to have with Edward.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're besties now. Or whatever.
I mean, how long were they trapped in the house with the werewolves outside?
My guess is anywhere between like 3 days to a week.
No, it can't be that long. Because, let me look at the dates. The 2 weeks when Jacob walks in is Friday, September 9th, 2011. And then I think a couple nights pass. So it's either like Sunday or Monday that week. So it's going to be September 11th or 12th. So 2-3 days.
Well, that's assuming there's no gaps in time. I mean, did you see how much blood they went through?
That's true. All I'm going with is that Bella's birthday was not celebrated. And that's on the 14th.
that could go off screen if they
Okay,
wanted
that's
to
the
do
one
that.
thing I'm going with.
I don't think Bella's in a condition to celebrate, mind you.
Um, so I'm leaning more it's longer than 2 or 3 days, just due to the sheer amount of blood that she went through. Um,
That's true.
I
That
don't know.
garbage can was full of blood
Yeah,
bags.
that's a lot. I forget what this stemmed from. It was clothing, but why did I ask about time frame? Mm. Oh, they would just be limited with the wardrobe because they can't leave the house. That's what I was going.
True,
I
but
don't know.
I mean, I guess that makes sense for all the Cullens. But did Jacob bring clothes?
Well, he'd probably be wearing someone else's shirt, a Cullen's shirt,
Oh,
if
ooh,
he's
ooh.
swapping clothes.
Would he do that?
Well, if he's there for like a week wearing the same shirt, probably not a great choice. Uh, I don't know.
In the extended version, I have more belief that he would do that because he's much more buddy buddy with them. He's not just storming off constantly.
Yeah, theatrical. I don't know if he'd do that.
I
I think he'd
mean,
rather go shirtless and just walk around shirtless, like an eclipse.
he probably would do that, yeah. But I think he's at the point where he would accept a shirt if one of the Cullens offered him a shirt. Maybe not Edwards, but talking like others.
Oh,
He accepts a sandwich.
he does. I did have a question about how the blood thing could work with Bella. It's hypothetical. But if Bella got strong enough from drinking this O blood, could they draw her own blood out and feed that to her to supply the baby?
That's you would be
Would
training
kill
the
her
baby on
faster.
her. You'd be training the baby on her blood though, and that could. I think that can poison her. Right? I'm getting
I
some
don't know.
misconnection in my head to something about babies and moms and. Not
I
enough
don't know.
info in my
Okay.
brain.
I just didn't know if that would be a possibility since they're running low on blood, but it's never brought up. Also, I did originally think I'm like, why does Carlisle have all this equipment at his home? But then I went, oh, it's been 2 weeks since they arrived. He just went and got it all, which is fine. Um, but I'd still think he'd have all the materials to draw blood if need be.
Well, yeah, I mean he's a doctor. Um,
Could he draw Jacob's blood and feed that, or would that be a problem? I mean, O blood
Well,
is universal, so I think that's the reason why.
I don't know. The baby could reject werewolf blood or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Because yeah, never mind. I was like, I'm mixing it up with Buffy rules.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I don't think your
Vampires
own.
don't like werewolf blood in Buffy, but
All right. I'm like,
I'm mixing it up.
would your body reject your own blood?
Body reject your own blood.
Like if Bella's drinking
Uh,
her own blood through supply.
no, they
there,
wouldn't. I know what you're asking there, Springs. I don't think they would even try to do that, considering the state she's in.
Okay. Well, that's why I was curious if the O blood's making her stronger because she's after she has it, she's saying she's feeling better. If that's because in the instance when I wrote this down is like I didn't write when I finished the movie. So in the instance, I'm like, would she get strong enough and able for that to be a idea?
the blood's not making her stronger. The baby drinking the blood instead of her,
Yeah.
feeding off of her, is what's making her stronger.
Okay.
Um, and at the rate they're going through blood, she wouldn't be able to regenerate enough blood to be meaningful, anyways.
Okay.
Assuming we're going with your 2 to 3 day period, and that's the amount of blood they went through.
Could be. The next movie might confirm it. If the next movie does not show Bella's birthday, then it could be this week thing. If it does, then I think it shows that it's the time because it's not unless it's a year jump. I almost said it could not. It could be. I don't know. That's we'll get
Yeah,
there when we get there
we'll see
situation.
there. Yeah, we'll see. We get a reference to Laurent again. The
Oh,
guy that's
Wow.
still
oh,
trickling through the
yeah. You're making me
franchise.
go back in my notes.
What a pointless reference that makes no
With
fucking sense.
Irina.
It damages it. He
Oh,
didn't know
absolutely.
anything about the Cullens when they got introduced, but now he was dating a Cullen member.
Yeah. He was dating, not only dating a Cullen member, he wanted to be a vegetarian like the rest of them.
Oh God, it's so bad. Why did they did all that for references and it damages it? What?
Writing 101, don't do this.
It's terrible. There's no positive other than they said his name.
Well, was Irina a Cullen member? Or just knows of the Cullens?
No, she's one of
No,
the Alaskan members.
they're the Alaskan branch of the
Yeah.
Cullens.
I guess that only brings up how long did Laurent know Irina? Because if I'd known her for a long time, then yeah, I'm sure the Cullens would have been
They've
brought up
known
in
each other long
conversation.
enough for her. They've known each other long enough for her Arena to be crying about it because they have a werewolf at the wedding.
Yeah, it's also just convenient
Uh,
that she knew this random vampire guy from nothing.
Well, there's also more than one werewolf at this wedding, and she's only smelling out Seth.
Well, Seth is the only one, quote unquote, in attendance. The others are just Jacob's not there. The others are just kind of
Well,
patrolling
is
around.
Billy a werewolf?
We have not been confirmed that he's a werewolf.
It could be. We don't know. So
Okay.
I'm landing on the side of we just don't know.
That's where I'm kind of leaning also with Irina's emotion. Because you said showing her emotion of how much she's carrying shows how much she was with Laurent, but some people can just be emotional. I don't know. But I do see what you mean of like adding this in is damaging Laurent with what we have. Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to say. Damaging Laurent, the very complex character who's had like 4
They
minutes of
killed
screen
him
time.
off. He's dead.
And they keep bringing him back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with characters being assassinated from beyond the grave. The MCU did that to a lot of people.
They name dropped him last movie and this movie. It's crazy.
Will he be in the next one? In a flashback.
I know why they're doing it because it makes the world feel more interconnected. But honestly, here it just makes the world feel small.
Oh, it's a 2-sentence thing. It's so short. It's not like a whole scene of a character.
I know, and yet somehow
Laurent returned.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
I will say this movie did not improve on the running, like the super speed. I think it actually went down a little.
They improved on werewolf POV running.
Yeah, I guess the werewolf. But when the Cullens are out hunting, they use a lot of foliage, brushes, and bushes and trees and everything to cover up a lot of the detail.
Oh,
That's being used in the foreground.
A lot of the budget got sucked up by Bella, so.
Oh, I'm like, a lot of budget went into the werewolf meeting.
Which it didn't need to.
It didn't need that at all. It would have been so cool if Jacob like threw hands with Sam or something like.
Yeah.
That'd been cool.
It would have been cool.
It would have been cool if you like punched Sam to like actually cause a cut or something, and then in werewolf form we actually see the detail of like a cut or like a wound. That'd been cool.
Yeah. It would have been cool to see them exchange blows just to prove Jacob is defiant and also that he operates under his own free will.
And not just getting up on his front paws, making Sam cower or like bow, like this whole bowing power.
I'm fine with Jacob's asserting dominance in the way they did. I just don't like how they completely undercut it with Seth and Leia just being, oh, well, we did the same thing, presumably, I guess. I don't know how she did it without Sam knowing. She's like, oh, I left and Sam doesn't even know. How the heck did that happen? Can you just leave whenever you want? Why didn't Jacob do that? It makes no freaking sense.
Yeah, I think it's a throwaway line. Is like you're as part of the pack for as long as you want to be a part of the pack, or something to that effect.
As you said, you can be a mortal werewolf as long as you want to. It's like there's so much choice power. But hey, the vampire gene thing, you can't choose when you get turned into one.
Yeah, the werewolves have it so much better than the vampires. I'm thinking about that's how I would want to direct the werewolf meeting scene And because I get everyone's gonna be running there in their werewolf form, all you have to do is just film it. So like, you see them go to one side of the logs and then like walk past like the logs then take up the frame, and as you're sliding over in a pan shot, and then they're all human. It's very very simple. You don't have to CGI the
Well, that,
transformation.
or you could have the shot of them running to the logs, and then you just hear a logger talking, and then they switch to human mode or something.
Oh,
There's
like
a
a
civilian area.
not to scare the logger.
Yeah,
He's like, what the fuck are you
do
guys
that.
doing? That'd be funny. Good comedy.
Could have worked.
But nay, we don't get that.
I guess a question to bring up. Why do they have a syringe of Edward's venom?
Well, that
My
was the
guess is
insurance if Carlisle's didn't work, I guess.
Yeah, my guess was they were doing that in preparation to change Bella.
The problem being, which I think is what Sprinks is setting up, is that Carlisle was supposed to be the one to infuse her with venom, not Edward.
Well, it's just a vial
Is
of
that what you're going
Edward's.
with?
Because Edward says it's my venom. Does he
Yeah.
only have a syringe of Edward's? Does he have a syringe of all the other Cullen members?
Okay, you took it in a different direction. I thought you were
I'm just
implying.
I'm just
Okay.
saying the existence of this syringe. Is there an instance where a vampire couldn't secrete venom?
A non-venomous vampire? We haven't been introduced to that, so
Yeah,
I'd
so
say
why
no.
is there a syringe?
To-
Is it in
'cause
case a vampire's not around and a mortal has to decide on their own to do it?
I feel like you missed a line in the movie saying that what the plan of Bella's birth was, or birth thing was. Do you know what the plan was for Bella's birth?
Well, I thought it was to C-section it out normally, but if it's to the point of killing her, that she'd have to get the strength. Because there was a lot of speculation that it's just going to kill her flat out.
The plan was, if she was going to die during birth, at any point during birth, Carlisle would save her with the venom. That's my problem with the scene, because they said Carlisle would do it. Why would they be using Edwards? I don't know.
Oh, so the line of
That's my
Carlisle
problem.
would be implied that it's Carlisle's actual bite to give venom, not a
Yes,
syringe of Edward's venom.
Yeah.
because I don't know why they would need to use Edwards' venom when they could just use Carlisle's, and they said Carlisle.
So would it help to you if the syringe was Carlisle's venom?
Yeah, that would fix everything with that scene for me.
Okay, that would also make me question
relating to the venom.
why is there a venom vial of Carlisle?
To save Bella? They were going to have a procedure for her. This happened early. So I have no problem with Carlisle planning ahead, getting his own venom. In this case, I guess Edwards for some reason. That's not a problem if there's a vial of venom, because the plan was to use venom if she was going to die.
But
Not a problem for me at all.
So is the difference of the syringe versus a bite just the dose amounted? Like there's
Dosage,
more
yeah,
in a
that
syringe?
was a lot of venom.
Yeah,
Because I mean, like
like I
Edward
said,
bites her like 6 times.
yeah, the reason that they were at least the inferred reason that I can think of as to why it's Edward's syringe is because he's the one that promised to turn her, and if it's his venom, he's the one that technically turned her. Whatever.
Oh, he wouldn't feel guilt over it.
Oh,
Could be.
Yeah.
Bella would also be proud, like, oh, he turned me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. I think that actually answers that.
That's why I think it's Edward's venom. But I also think that the reason that they stored some in a vial is they knew that they were going to need a lot of it, because it couldn't be like a waiting change, like, because obviously it takes a while for someone to change when they're bitten, and they wouldn't have the time. Bella would pass away before then, so they stored it in a vial. So it's just a lot of extra venom just to kickstart the change.
It's not a dose of morphine, it's a full-on adrenaline shot.
Pretty
Also,
much, yeah.
Sprinks, they can
Let's
bite
bite.
without giving venom. That's established in the first movie when Edward sucks out
Yeah.
James's venom. So the bites he did during the C-section could have not had venom in it. Could have just been him.
And
biting.
what's the point of that? Oh, sorry. The bite on the C-section. Got it. Sorry, I thought you meant around the body, like on the legs and everything. Got it. Biting out the C-section, not giving venom. I guess so.
Well, I don't think anyone accused Twilight of being good, so that's my answer.
Eclipse approached it.
It has been the closest so
Eclipse
far.
is fine. Covered all that ratings, but
I guess final call for notes. Maybe 2 each if you got 2. If you don't, you don't.
yeah, there is at timestamp 1 hour, 35 minutes, 47 seconds when I guess what we're talking about, Bella's pretty much dead and Edward's biting all these parts on her body. This timestamp, there's this weird comedical zoom in on Bella's face that really kind of just took me out of this moment.
Yes, I know exactly what you're thinking about. I think that's
Like every
there
shot's
just to show that she's not reacting, to show that she's quote unquote dead.
yeah, but the zoom is like
Oh yeah, I
comedy.
agree.
Wow. I didn't get anything funny. I'd have to look at that again.
I don't know.
Okay.
Everything just all the shots were very what's the word? Not stagnant, just like still. There were still shots, no movement. And then it goes to that where it's actual like zoom in. It was weird.
I could picture the shot. I just can't picture it within the film, so I'd have to look at it again. Writer, we'll bounce around. So
Okay. Yeah.
our remaining notes.
I think there's just a very quick shot, but I like the idea of that like Bella is still conscious of all the venom pain in her because there's a quick shot of her like writhing in pain and screaming, and intercut with her just lying still in the bed.
Oh yes. Yes. Still conscious, but no muscular movement.
Yeah, I quite like that. Or at least that's what implied to me. I quite like that because obviously she's in tons of pain from all the venom. But she has no muscular movement because she's so like dead on her feet. It was a very tiny moment that I quite enjoyed.
I mean, her guts are out of her stomach.
Yeah.
She's got open.
Her
She's ripped
entrails
apart.
have become her extrails.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Nice little detail, little Alice thing. I mean, it might be more than just a detail. Whatever. Alice packing Bella's bags for the honeymoon.
Oh, giving her all the
Well,
lingerie.
either
Hilarious.
she packed it or snuck it in her bag. Either way, really funny and on point for Alice to do that. And,
Yep.
I like Bella's reaction to it as well.
Yeah, she was certainly shocked.
Alice.
I like that, kind of doubling up on that a little bit. I really like the fact that Bella tries to use it to seduce Edward to get him to have sex with her again.
Oh, he's
He
just
laughs
laughing.
and rolls over.
Yeah.
Which that moment felt like not a different movie, but just like a real rom-com.
Oh yeah, they definitely hit up the rom-com feels a bit.
Yeah, when Rosalie is
I have the
holding
worst time with her name too.
holding the baby right before Edward imprints and we see its face, I think is the worst CGI in the movie, and it looks like a character from Polar Express.
Well, you're not going to hear me dispute that, but
It's an interesting comparison. It's not great. I don't know if I put it on that level, but it's close.
and you said Edward, but I know you meant Jacob. It's okay.
Orator?
Um,
Unless you're out.
Sure. I guess I got one. I think it's a little convenient that the housekeeper has all those weird mythology legends. It's not a huge thing. I just find it convenient that she's capable of even like hearing Edward out to believe him that he's a vampire.
Well,
and
being Carlisle's island, how long do you think Carlisle visited here before even Edward was a part of the Cullens?
yeah, like I said, I don't know the full staff of it. I label it as a bit convenient, but it's not really a huge thing. I think there's definitely some explanations to go with it.
Yeah.
Like
Carlisle could have hired her
legend.
intentionally because she would know how to deal with them if something happened.
Maybe.
That also could be the point. But it could be like the
My
pastor
issue-
thing, where it's no knowledge, and it's just happenstance.
I mean, we know she knows stuff. We know that with her. My thing with her was why she is doing the job in the first place. If she was
she's-
suspecting and then got confirmed, obviously during the honeymoon, why was she doing it?
I have no idea. My funny enough, my last note's more of like about the romantic evening swim under the moonlight. That's a nice
bucket list thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say how their hair is both wet
Hang
and
on,
yet
hang on.
neither of them went underwater.
Bucket list for you, Ryder?
Yeah, sure, bucket list thing.
Okay. I'm like, where are you going for bucket list of like Bella and Edward, or?
No,
I think he was making a broad stroke for a lot of people would want that, but
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll openly admit I wouldn't mind a romantic evening swim. Though I wouldn't say this movie is at fault for that. I'd probably blame Oblivion with Tom Cruise for that.
Oh, what a comparison! Far better. Oh, that night swim's great. Sorry,
yeah, no worries.
touch on a nerve. Oblivion's great.
Underrated
Yeah,
movie, for sure.
it was interesting that both their hair were wet. Now, Jacob, he could have gone swimming with the whole hour of Bella getting ready and shaving her legs, as Daisy put it.
Oh, don't forget she
But-
combed her hair. She brushed her hair before she went swimming.
She prepped everything.
Put makeup
And-
on. She did the works.
She never put her head in the water, and her hair was wet when she got to Jacob. Not
That's
just
humid.
the bottoms where it was actually touching the water, but the top of her head
Yeah.
was wet.
I mean, it'd be comical if she like started wading towards him, had to stop for a second, dug her hands into the water, and just patted her head.
Or if she was walking and slipped on a rock and just fell in the water.
Oh, just
clumsy.
tumbled in.
Yeah,
See,
She
some
can't-
algae on a rock.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would be in character for her to do that.
Damn, there's a movie called Vampires Suck. That's a parody off of Twilight that
What?
we don't have in the rotation, but I think would
Maybe
be
in
a
the future.
real hoot
I got-
to laugh at.
Look, I got another vampire movie that I want to put in the rotation because of we're covering Twilight. So I'm on it with their Springs. Maybe we'll do another vampire season
Maybe.
of some sort.
There aren't enough choices out there. All right, I guess from my final point, it would be Rosalie at the birth, where she got blood on her hand and lost her marbles, or was about to. Anyways, they
about
pulled her out. And then she was okay holding the bloody baby.
It took all of 30 seconds.
Yeah,
to
she
get better.
compiled herself.
Yeah, that was not great, especially since she's been around the cups of blood that Bella's been drinking.
But
So she's been around exposed blood for a while.
Crimson, you said it yourself. She's turned up to 11. She's different.
I did say that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who would have thought this movie's not consistent or anything?
I know. Shocker.
I know you said 2 each, but I have one last point.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Thank you. It's not great, but I do like the kudos of actually giving a scene of Bella and Charlie having a talk, which was on the phone. It's not great, but at least there is a scene that doesn't just skip over a problem between the two of them, that actually gives something of the two of them trying to talk.
I'm with
Was
you.
it the one I
Springs.
heavily criticized or a different one?
Yes,
It's the one you criticized about the whole
Yeah,
Switzerland medical
I just want to
thing,
say,
but-
Springs, I agree. I too am happy Bella remembered Charlie's existence.
Well, I'm just saying this scene over the whole like farewell at the wedding, where they're just like hugging it out, or like just like right before he walks her down the aisle, like just a little talk. Like this actually seemed like a scene of like a situation between the two to talk about, and I'm
Oh,
glad
you
we
just
finally
reminded
kind
me
of
of-
got one. It's
Yeah.
I
You
wish
just-
it was way better, but there's still something, and it's not skipped over like other things we've talked about, like inviting Charlie to the wedding or the grounding or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just remembered. I actually really like the words that they exchange before her dad walks her down the aisle, which is "Don't let me fall," and Charlie being the
Oh,
cool
that's-
dad he is, just said never.
That was good.
Also,
Very good exchange.
a mustache does a lot of heavy lifting for Charlie. When Bella's a baby and he doesn't have the stash, oh man.
I know. Looks more like Fred Andrews, and it was scary.
I don't know. This whole Twilight binge we've been doing has really gotten me to want to watch Revolution, which has
I thought you were
the
going to say
actor
to
for Charlie in
wear
it.
a mustache.
And he's a similar character in that show to the part where he's like,
Oh, is that the
he
mustard
doesn't
gas
care
one?
but cares. Yeah, that must be
Okay,
one.
got it. You showed me
Yeah,
an episode.
I showed you the pilot.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah.
Mustard gas one.
Yeah. Mustard gas. Whoever's seen the show will
No,
know.
I got it.
Yeah. All right. Was all right. Everyone good with their notes? Good.
I'm good.
Forever hold your peace.
They stole Avatar with that ending. Avatar came first.
I mean, that is not original to Avatar. That's
Avatar came first.
There's other movies that have done that before Avatar.
What's stolen? What?
The
eyes
eyes
opening.
opening and then cut to credits.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's okay.
With that, yes.
All right.
That's my piece.
On to the summary recap, blah blah blah, rating stuff. Starting with Sprinks.
Me? Oh boy.
Meow, golly, oh gee, oh man.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like a crybaby. A resume or I don't know what her name is.
Rosalie?
No, the baby. Renesmee or
Renesmee.
There we go.
Renesmee.
Hey, I might
Who says
Renesmee. Thank you. Hey, I might get it the next movie.
Recipe.
What do I start with? I'll start with subjective. This has been the worst one for me so far. I feel like this movie has 30 minutes that did not need to be in this movie, and it could have been cut. And I think the bad guys of Sam and his pact is very lame, and they're not bad guys. It's just like having conflict that needed to be in here because of a baby being born that's a problem to the treaty, but not fully explained through like lore of the werewolves of like why. It's just like a grudge. I don't know. It's weird. The first 20 minutes of the movie, like the whole wedding and kind of the honeymoon bit, I thought was fine, and then it really dropped. So I was thinking 5.5, but then Crimson, you just kept saying how dumb Bella is in a lot of situations, and it did lower it. I'm at a 5. I did have it as a 5.5, but just your talk on how much Bella sucks in I'm agreeing with pretty much everything you're saying. Yes.
Bella's a toxic fucker to both Edward and Jacob throughout the entire and Charlie.
But that's I don't want to dismerit the things I do like. I like Edward. I think this might be my favorite version of Edward, or like iteration we've seen of the past movies of Edward. Like just how much he cares about the situation and like trying his best, and like to me it was really the soul talk at the wedding that really like showed how much he steps up for Bella. Because it shows on like we already know his beliefs on the situation, but how much he'll overstep that for her on the thought of it, like of him caring what a soul is and all. I thought that was great. But yeah, 5. Objectively, this might shock you. I have this at a 7, which is the highest I've given any of these movies so far, because I think this is the best one made. I think the CGI is real good. I think the lighting's real good. I think the acting is very well done. I like a lot of the shots. Let's see. The the story and writing and world building and character assassination suck. And God, I always forget something. But I think overall it's pretty darn well made. So 7.
You gave Eclipse a 7.
I gave Eclipse a 7, objectively?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I'd give that a 6.5.
No.
Oh, I did give that a 7. They're matched.
I don't know if you want to raise this.
They're matched.
All right.
There's things I like.
Didn't want you to trip up on yourself there.
You know what? Thank you. They're matched.
All right. Ryder.
All right. I'll do subjective first. Again, still dealing with a lot of concepts I quite enjoy. But man, the the pointless drama really started dragging at me for this one. Subjectively, this might be my least favorite one so far. Uh, I'm at a 4, I think, subjectively. I didn't really enjoy this one all that much. I was teetering towards a 3.5 the entire time, but I was thinking about it now. I'm like, I could watch this still just with the alcohol and a good drinking game and friends. I could do that. I could do it. I'd be able to stick it out.
Ryder, did you
Uh,
give the first movie a 4?
did I?
That's what I'm
I
asking.
think.
I think you did.
Uh, funny enough, I'll match it. Let's
Okay.
leave it for now.
Hey,
I'll
you know
match
what?
it.
I know how you feel.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking at
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It is what it was a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I was bouncing between 2.5 and a 4 the entire time. I'm gonna leave it up on the higher end because I think I could get through this again with some alcohol.
Okay.
But objectively, I think this is the worst Twilight film so far, and it's not even close. Um, I there's so much character problems going on. I think for a family that's supposed to be really old in terms of the Cullens, they have a horrible strategizing. They can't strategize for shit. I think Sam was assassinated. I think the world building was flipped on its head with the whole regard to the treaty. I don't think. I don't think there's a lot. I don't think there's many characters that escaped out of here unscathed outside of Alice and possibly Rosalie to a degree, but we had a kind of a debate on that. Um, I think Jacob is fine. Evidently, he's much better in the extended version, so I get the benefit of that. But the plot is driven by a myriad of conveniences and nothing like nothing felt natural. There's very little natural feeling with regards to plot progression in the story. Uh, World building just continues to get worse. Like the more they add, like in the microcosm, the Laurent conversation. That's an example of I think them making the world building slowly get worse. I obviously my biggest issue in terms of world building was the treaty. They kind of undid all the progress in terms of like they did all the progression of that through Sam's character. So not only did Sam's character assassination damage the world building, it damaged the plot because it just they felt like they needed to have tension winding up towards a final fight, and which was I think is completely unnecessary. Um, Bella is toxic as fuck. I've reached the point where I'm not sure I like the protagonist anymore. Not that there was much to like to begin with, but it's more like they're giving me reasons to dislike the protagonist, and I'm once you've reached that point in terms of your writing where you're questioning whether the protagonist is like when you're questioning whether you like the protagonist or not, you're coming across a lot of issues. Um, I still have nah, man. I she's manipulative, um, self-serving, doesn't really give Edward any choices. Uh, Edward, of course, capitulates by the end because he's a good person. I think his concerns are valid for much of the film. Um, I find humor in the fact that he doesn't want to touch Bella again after their first time they have sex, which is ironic considering they just skipped quote unquote the honeymoon phase of most relationships. Um, Jacob I think is fine. I think he gets a little hot headed, but it doesn't necessarily breach his character. I think the closest thing we get to something being out of character for Jacob is him deciding to kill Renesmee. Obviously, this is done to facilitate the point of him having a imprinted. But again, I attribute that more to like issues with the plot, and then how that magically resolves to a rule that they introduced at the 11th hour. Which introduces, I guess, my biggest issue with the film is that it's it contradicted so many previously established rules, and it adds new rules at the last minute without any really supporting factor outside of the fact that it's simply stated. Um, it would have been really nice to have some set up, I guess, for some of the side characters, because I think Crimson pointed out the werewolves are at this point disparagingly unequal. So when it comes to making them antagonists, they were awful. I'm at a 3, I think, objectively.
Okie dokie. Not kidding. By how big of a difference that is. I think your lowest has been a 5,
I think,
objectively.
yeah,
Oh,
sounds
or
right.
4.5, something.
I mean,
Not
rather
a 3.
stands true. I mean, it's a lot happened.
Yes, it did.
It's
Certainly did. All right. I will do my subjective. I've hinted at in one of the previous podcasts, I don't know which one, that this one was my least favorite going into this season, but maybe covering part 2 could get worse. I don't know. But so far, it stands true that this is my least favorite. I'm going with a 4. It could potentially be lower watching it more and more. But Charlie's great. He's barely in it. I
a
think
crime.
Jacob and Edward's dynamic is good. All things considered, they're far better than Bella in any facet. I think the only thing good with Bella is her interactions with Alice, and in the general sense. In this, they don't interact much, but they are still good. Those two. I feel like I'm just going to echo everything that was stated between the two of you, because all in all, this movie is quite hollow. There's not much that really happens in this film. You got the wedding, which is like half an hour. You got the honeymoon, which got stretched out a lot with the whole chess swimming or the waterfall. It was bloated because they cut a book in 2 parts, and I'm assuming the book didn't have enough for 2 movies because this movie didn't need to be. And I don't know how much of this whole conflict with the werewolves is in the book or built up for this movie. I don't know. Ryder, you're about to say something?
Yeah, I was saying not quite as like spreading it as thin as the Hobbit movies did for that small book, but it is stretching it out.
The Pale
Yeah.
Orc, 2 sentences.
It's not like Harry Potter with Deathly Hallows, which part 1 does feel a little stretched, but nothing like this.
I was going to ask that about
Harry Potter had a
part 1
lot to do.
comparisons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deadly Hallows, Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah, there was a lot to do for part 1 on Harry Potter. Hunger Games, all those movies blend together except for the first one. The first one stands alone to me. Everything else is one movie to me. I don't know the difference. But back to Twilight. I think the visuals are still good, all things considered, with the werewolves. I agree with Springstead pretty much in the opening with Bella's CG with her skinny look, her gray skin of being drained. I did have one thing I caught with that, which I didn't get to mention, but when she's looking in the mirror at herself and she's pretty skeletal, and Edward's looking at her through the reflection. Her reflection body does not match her body in movement. Her shoulder moves in the reflection. Her other doesn't move. So it's not synced up, which I don't know how they botched that, but throwing that out there. Character assassinations with the wolves, yeah. Echo pretty much what Ryder says with the wolves. I don't know. I think this is objectively the worst one we've covered. I think this one has good editing. I talked about the wolf howl into the song. Springs thought that was cheesy, but I think it was well executed, cheesy or not. The flashes and blurring effects they were doing while Bella was giving birth was too much for Daisy, but I thought it was pretty well executed on showing the intensity of the scene and what was happening. So I thought the editing, I think, was the best in this. I said I think twice in a row. That's nice. So overall, it's the worst. Giving it a 5. There is decent to good stuff, but there's a lot of bad. And who knows, maybe in the recap you guys could convince me to go lower. I don't know. But throwing comparisons of other things we've covered in the recap now.
Editing.
There we go.
Of course, that's what I forgot. Editing.
Yeah, beat you to it.
I mean, the Bride of Frankenstein transition was great.
I guess anything else before Ryder moves us on? I guess Edward, Jacob, you guys kind of had 50-50s.
Oh, yes. Well, you Ryder said you'd wait till the end of Breaking Down Part 1 to give that.
Yeah, I think I'm still Team Jacob. I do agree this is the best movie for Edward. He definitely rose a lot. I think I'm still Team Jacob. Honestly, it might be because the extended version helps Jacob a lot.
Yeah, and without the extended version and seeing theatrical, I think I'm 1% on Team Edward. I mean, like 51 on Team Edward.
Mind you, I fully acknowledge that Bella's dumb, and of course she makes the incorrect choice. So I'm totally fine with her being happy with Edward. It's just
Bella deserves to be an old cat lady, but that wouldn't be fair to the cats, So
yeah. But the final verdict of all 5 will be next week. Breaking Down Part 2.
Yeah, culmination of all these weeks. Grand finale.
This is gonna be.
It's all been built up to this.
This is gonna be a fun recap.
Oh man! All right.
Shall I read us out, gentlemen?
Ryder, I think we're good.
All right. Thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if you happen to be on the visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble, watching our slideshow and PNG tubers, thank you for watching. And please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. Tell us what team you're on. And as always, I have been a Geeky Writer.
I'm Prince Marin.
We had a Daisy, and I'm Sprinks.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.